Orleans. Yes, that's right. One more for the Chiefs. You're going to have to get on a plane, cover all week long, all of the press conferences, all of the media availabilities, every single day down there in New Orleans, post-game stuff, day after stuff, before you can retire. All right? We're making you work. You don't just get to walk out the door into the sunset, ride off like Jared Allen into the sunset, calling a retirement. No. No, you got to put in some work around here.
Good pull.
Thank you. So we'll talk with Adam Teicher about why the Chiefs will not just let him sleep.
You think he'll pull a Vince Wilfork and wear the overalls with no undershirt going forward? I think that could be a good look.
I want Adam Teicher to turn in full Vince Wilfork and just smoke barbecue for the next 10 years of his life, like Vince Wilfork and competitive barbecue and everything. Like I just
love the overalls with no undershirt. Just really let him know.
I mean, come on, man, just let it ride. Or the Canadian tuxedo that Jared Allen likes to wear. It's whatever Adam Teicher wants to do. It's his world.
He has two options. You can go Jared Allen or Vince Wilfork. There's no in between.
You can go. I think you can go J.R. Smith and just go tarps off. Like after
nice.
They won
He might need to get some tattoos though.
Oh, what if the Chiefs win a three-peat and Adam does all the post-game interviews tarps off?
That'd be great.
What are they going to do? Fire him? What are you going to? Huh? Sue me for what? Being awesome? Come on, man.
Adam said he was going to get a Chiefs tattoo if they three-peat. Did he say that?
That's right.
I think so.
No, it was not sue me for what? Arrest me for what? Being awesome? Come on. We're going to get arrested. For what? Being awesome? All right, 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810. Text line to join us, and we'll also hang out with Todd Lebo in the 1 o'clock hour, some fact or fiction, as the three of us will be heading down to New Orleans on Sunday, all on the same flight. I already told Todd, don't save a seat for Sterling. No middle seats.
Middle.
No middle seat.
Shoot.
Sterling's like, I got the middle seat. It's odd that you called it.
Well, I call it in a car. In the back seat of a car. You know why?
I'm riding B.
No. You call middle. More room. There's more leg room because
it's not more room. Not when I'm sitting in the back seat.
Well, no, there's that thing in the middle of the back seat of a car where how it kind of goes up a little bit. You have to put your feet on the other side of it, so you don't automatically.
Not when I'm back there. You don't have to.
Extra leg room.
That's what you get for riding B. Should have called it.
No
window.
Call middle. Extra leg room in a car.
Passenger.
Not in a plane.
Depends on how tall the driver is. Passenger window.
Yeah, typically passenger window.
Somebody short. Driver window.
Yeah.
We
should call shotgun. It's weird that three guys in the back seat, no one shotgun.
It's somebody else. That's
it's
you.
Open.
It is odd that you don't even call shotgun. You're like, I'm riding B.
Yep, middle.
Obviously not saying the full word. So Todd Lebo will be here in the 1 o'clock hour, play some fact or fiction, and that'll be fact or fiction. Sterling will ask us. I immediately call, as you guys would say, middle, or B, as everybody else would say, in a car. As soon as we get out of the house. Plus, you have the rules. Like, what are the rules? Is it when you get up to leave or out of the house?
You got to see the car.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to
100%,
see the car.
100%. You can't just, like, in the house or wherever you're at getting ready to leave. Shotgun. No. We are not outside yet. Step outside. Sorry, dude. Shotgun. That's what you get for jumping the gun, man. Should not have happened. All right? Yeah. Now you're riding B. Aw. Sterling's like, damn it, I wanted to ride B. Sorry, Sterling. You got a window. Aw.
Dang it.
Darn it. I don't want it to mess up my hair when the window's down, guys. Todd Lebo, Fact or Fiction in the 1 o'clock hour. 913-912-4810. Let's talk about this Chiefs team. Shockingly, that's what we're going to talk about here as they are heading to another Super Bowl, 5 in 6 years. But one of the things that I wanted to get into and discuss is why aren't people talking about the refs in this game? Like, I don't get it. I don't No, that's not what. I also want to get into, like, LeBron versus Jordan, because there's not much. I feel like that should be a bigger debate. Like, why isn't anybody talking about LeBron v. Jordan?
And why is no one talking about Deion Sanders or the Cowboys? I feel like we've not talked about that enough.
I also feel like we've gone on this long and nobody has discussed why Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame. Like, are we going to get to that or not? Like, come on. I feel like today's a great day to break those out. First hour, LeBron v. Jordan. That's all we're going to discuss. Second hour, Pete Rose, Hall of Fame, yes or no? Third hour, Cowboys. Let's talk some Cowboys. We want some glory hole. Let's talk some boys here. It's Jerry Jones, Jera in the house. He had a new one yesterday. Did you hear it? Gave us a new one. Oh, Jera. We'll play that one.
Oh, man.
We're going to that. We got a couple things yesterday from press conferences. We got a awkward Liam Cohen. We got a Jera new one.
Duval.
What?
It was Liam Cohen trying to do the Jacksonville Jaguars Duval.
Why is he slightly whispering?
Duval.
It's even worse when you see it because as he starts to say do, like his left eyebrow is raised, do, and then when he gets to Vol, both of them raised, Duval. It's so freaking.
Duval.
My daughter's 5 years old and she says awkward a lot. And I saw that and I'm like, Jules, awkward. So, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. 913-912-4810.
Wait, I see the Josh Allen clip is 13 seconds long. That's incredible.
Oh, my God. I didn't even realize that.
That is just...
I didn't do that on purpose. That's actually how long
It's poetic.
It's how long his answer was.
Yeah.
He was asked about the last blitz, and it's one of the things I want to talk about today. I do want to get into Spags getting his flowers.
Yeah.
Looking at the last 2 weeks, as we talked about the pressure rate against the Houston Texans, but their offensive line sucks, right? The Buffalo Bills have one of, if not the best offensive lines in football, which is why Josh Allen does not get sacked. Chiefs weren't going to be able to pressure Josh Allen the way that they pressured C.J. Stroud. Or were they? Spags said, hold my bag. And then he put that on the Bills' head. Oh, my goodness, Jason. Joe Brady, why'd you do that? So let's get into the show. Brett Veach was asked yesterday, and we played a number of Brett Veach clips about, different players and stuff like that. But what I think is interesting as this Chiefs team heads to the Super Bowl, right? Going through and looking at the players who they brought in that they did not start training camp with that had an impact in this game. That can easily be overlooked because over the course of the season, people have only been talking about officials and luck. Refs, luck, officials, and fortune is all the Chiefs season has been about. It has not been about them going 15-1 with their starters. It hasn't been about what the defense has been able to do. It hasn't been about Xavier Worthy's progression. It hasn't been about Patrick Mahomes' historic third down efficiency. None of that discussed at all. And it hasn't been about coaching in the close games. It's been about the fortune of the Chiefs. It's been about the refs favoring the Chiefs. But along the way, different decisions have to be made by the GM, by the coach. Veach handles that. To bring in guys to supplement, to fill in roles that have not or you have lost. Either you didn't have at the time or you've lost. And August 26th was the first one. And we talked about it on the air about a week and a half, maybe 10 days before, that we discussed that Juju being cut by the New England Patriots, being waived by the Patriots. And he said, let me tell you, there are some Juju Smith-Schuster fans in that building. One of them wears a 1 and a 5 on his jersey. The other one is the OC that listens to the guy who wears the 1 and the 5 on his jersey of who he trusts. And we talk about trust being a big part, and Hollywood Brown is out for who knows how long. We thought maybe the first week, who knows when he would be back. But, you probably need some help. This guy's available. He knows the offense. So they go out and officially sign Juju on August 26th. Juju had 2 catches, 60 yards, a 29-yard catch and a 31-yard catch in that game against the Bills. Pretty big plays, too.
Yeah.
Pretty big plays. Chunk plays. Chiefs didn't have to dink and dunk and quick pass their way down the field. And by the way, that was part of taking advantage of the quick passes. That Juju Smith-Schuster play when Mahomes, when he was on the left side, not the one coming on the in-breaking route from the right side from Mahomes, but the one that was an in-breaking route from the left when Mahomes lobbed it over the offensive line in the first level of defenders.
Yeah.
That was the Bills coming up to stop the quick passing game. It was, we're going to quick passing game, and Juju slid right behind the second level. Mahomes had to wait for it to open. The offensive line held up long enough. People that don't watch the game would say held, but they don't know what they're talking about. The offensive line held up long enough. Nobody's talking about Joe Tooney or Jawan Taylor or Caliendo except for the one play with Phillips or Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith except for when he's pancaking dudes. The conversation about the offensive line was non-existent except in the run game and Jawan Taylor pulling and Trey Smith pulling and what they were doing schematically. But Mahomes waits for Juju to slip behind the defense and lobs it over the head. And he's got all day to run because of that. That was part of the quick passing game. But Juju has 2 big plays in this game that led to scoring drives, right? On August 28th, the Kansas City Chiefs signed Samaje Perine. Cut by the Denver Broncos, and we said, man, I don't understand why you would cut Samaje Perine. I absolutely hate Samaje Perine, but I hate him because I respect his game so much, and he would always hurt the Chiefs. Perine worried me when he was in the game for the Bengals more than Joe Mixon did.
Yeah.
And that came to fruition 2 years ago in the regular season game against the Bengals that the Chiefs lost before beating them in the AFC Championship game when Samaje Perine forced 8 missed tackles in that game and was just so good. And it was like, can somebody please tackle this man? And what an addition he has been. He's not Travis Kelce, right? He's not McDuffie or Justin Reed or Chris Jones in the impact he makes on the game. But playing his role, Herm Edwards' famous lines, know your role, do your job. Know your role, do your job. Samaje Perine's role, the Chiefs needed that specific role because you didn't know what you were going to get from Clyde, and did you want to leave that in the hands of Carson Steele? So that role, third down, Pacheco's better in pass blocking. He was going out of his way in training camp to show that he was better in pass blocking. It was, those battles with, I think it was
Drew Tranquil.
Yeah,
right?
that's
Was
right.
That, yeah,
that's right. The videos that came out of Pacheco and Drew Tranquil going back and forth were awesome. I mean, that is just high-level competition. That's how you get better. They say, I heard a coach once say, iron sharpens iron. I heard that once. I wrote it down in my diary. Coach said something really cool. Iron sharpens iron. Pressure can make diamonds, or it can.
Did they have a chip on their shoulder?
Bust pipes. Literally. Plays with his heart on his shoulder. Literally. Figuratively. But they signed Samaje Perine, and the last 2 games in the playoffs, he had the catch that ended the game. Texans, he has the catch that the Chiefs can then, run out the clock. And in this game, he has the catch the Chiefs can run out the clock. But he's made plays along the way, other big-time plays along the way when the Chiefs have needed it, in games where he breaks a tackle and picks up a first down that it should have been an easy stop for the opposition and continues on, and that drive continues on. But those are back-to-back days where the Chiefs sign Juju Smith-Schuster and Samaje Perine before the season starts. You get to September 17th, and they give a call to Kareem Hunt. Pacheco's out. Edwards-Helaire's on IR.
Yep.
Carson Steele's got cool hair. But who's going to run the football? Samaje Perine, we talked about, there. Who's going to run the football? And Kareem Hunt has filled a role that was much needed. And in this game, Kareem Hunt, we know about the 17 carries and 64 yards. Kareem Hunt himself. So we talked about last week that the Chiefs missed 13 tackles against the Bills in that game in Week 11. Kareem Hunt on Sunday forced 7 missed tackles in that game. He had 63 yards after contact in the game. Now, he had 64 yards rushing, but there were a couple plays where he got contact in the backfield.
Sure.
Like that 3-yard gain that he had when he was 5 yards deep. That's 8 yards after contact.
That was insane.
Yeah, that's a 3-yard gain, but 8 yards after contact for Kareem Hunt. Like, he had 63 yards after contact, forcing 7 missed tackles in the game. He was crucial in this one. And a huge touchdown run that then set up the Mahomes touchdown run later, which we will get into and talk about. And then on October 23rd, they trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Did Hopkins have a huge impact in this game with his 2 targets, 1 catch, 11 yards? It wasn't Xavier Worthy. It wasn't Juju. But he also wasn't ignored by the defense when he was out there. So you have to account for DeAndre Hopkins because if you just put some scrub, nobody in the NFL is a scrub, but comparatively speaking, Kyer Elam is not to the level of Rasul Douglas and Christian Benford.
Yes.
And the only catch for DeAndre Hopkins was when Mahomes looked over and saw 5 on, DeAndre and threw the back shoulder to him. And he picked up the 11 yards in the first down. It's the only time that, I guess he had 2 targets. I'm trying to think of what the other target was, to be honest with you. He had a couple targets last week as well. He's not the high-volume target guy with this offense.
And he doesn't care, by the way. Have you heard him once complain?
Not once.
He's been almost enthusiastic. All he cares about is winning right now.
He just wants to be in this position. Finally, he gets to experience the Super Bowl. Last year, Hollywood Brown on Super Bowl Sunday tweeted out, "I just want to experience what it's like to be in a Super Bowl one day." All you had to do was wait a year. Like literally the next one, you were going to experience what it was like to be at a Super Bowl and playing in a Super Bowl for Hollywood Brown. But DeAndre Hopkins and these guys, like Kareem Hunt, missing out on the opportunity to win rings with the Kansas City Chiefs, and now getting back there. But those acquisitions along the way, because DeAndre Hopkins, when they first signed or traded for him, he came up huge in a couple of games that they won. They needed him in those games.
The Buccaneers game.
Right. Juju was out. They needed DeAndre in those games. He had, a 9-catch game, and it was like, feed Hopkins. And now they're using Xavier Worthy more. When Travis Kelce is not guarded as much, then you can throw to him. Juju's played his role, obviously. But those 4 guys that they made acquisitions along the way can't be forgotten or left out or just thrown into the mix of, this is a whole team, because those guys weren't on the team when training camp started. That's finding guys that you need along the way, and then those guys joining the culture. You didn't find some random dude that got kicked off the team. You found Pirine that's played in the Super Bowl, Juju that's got a ring, D-Hop that's as motivated as anybody, and Kareem Hunt that's a tough runner that just wants a chance to show that he's not the person before and to take advantage of another chance.
It wasn't Deontay Johnson.
100%.
It wasn't Deontay.
Right.
And it kind of goes back to the George Pickens conversation, which we don't need to hash out right now, but I've been talking about this for a long time. I think the most impressive part of this Chiefs run and dynasty is the depth. Because what happens when Benford goes out? It's Kyer Elam, who gets picked on nonstop. The Chiefs have had a lot of injuries this season, too. They're pretty healthy right now, but they've had injuries.
And they've had to deal with Najee or Josh Williams and the frustration and complaints there.
How many? But Nazee's not as bad as Kyer Elam.
Oh, I agree. Totally. Yes.
There are levels to this.
Yeah.
I think that
Najee was a first-rounder and Kyer Elam was a seventh-rounder, right?
And that's, again, what it comes down to is identifying talent, coaching these guys up, and understanding their strengths, and a lot of times not putting them in a bad spot. The Chiefs are so good at not putting players in bad spots. I've said this multiple years now, and it's just the depth. That is the most impressive part of this. They always find guys. They don't have these net negatives. I always liken it to the Tampa Bay Rays lineup, right? Where it's like they never have a black hole. They may never have a superstar, but they don't have a black hole. Well, the Chiefs don't have black holes, and they have superstars.
And they throw in Aaron Judge.
So yeah.
And they throw in Trout. And they throw in Ohtani.
Yeah, it's like
they throw in Ohtani.
It's the perfect mix. You're right. It's knowing your roles. DeAndre Hopkins, he's embracing this role.
He's not pissed because they won a game, and then he's pouting in the locker room after winning a game.
Deontay Johnson clearly would not have embraced this role.
No, not at all.
Running back-wise, how many running backs would have embraced this role? Kareem Hunt embraced this role.
And by the way, Pacheco, too. Pacheco was a start at the beginning of the season, and in the AFC Championship game, he got 5 carries. He was averaging last year in the playoff run. In those 4 games in the playoffs, Pacheco averaged 22 touches per game in those 4 games. 22 touches per game. He had 7 in the AFC Championship game to go to a Super Bowl. Kareem Hunt had 18.
Yeah.
And Pacheco's running around the field smiling and laughing and celebrating with everybody.
How many teams go through, 3 kickers? How many teams go through 4 left tackles?
Yeah.
And part of it's because of the depth. They have the depth. No team can go through 4 left tackles and do what the Chiefs have done. Part of it's because Joe Thuney is that good.
Yeah,
but but that's why you go out and you pay the money to Joe Thuney, because you understand that, and you have Mike Caliendo, who you trust, you can throw in there at guard. That to me is what's so impressive about this team. It was always next man up, and that next man up is not just an absolute and utter liability.
Yeah, and we'll get into a point to where obviously the drafts have to continue, because if they can't sign Trey Smith or Nick Bolton, you got McDuffie and Karlaftis coming up for contracts, and they've got to make some real tough decisions along the way. Then you've got to figure out what your depth is behind guys that have to step up, because now, Willie Gay's gone, Drew Tranquill steps up, Leo Chanel steps up. And so instead of 4, now you have 3. If Nick Bolton walks, well, now you have 2 instead of what was 4 when they beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. You'd have Tranquill and Leo Chanel. But who's going to step up with those guys? Is there somebody there? It was sort of easy to go, well, if Willie Gay walks, Tranquill and then Chanel can slide in. If Bolton walks ain't as easy to go, well, Tranquil and Chanel will be those guys.
We saw Chanel week 18 kind of play that role, and it was not, again, a lot of moving parts in one game.
But that's where then the depth would come in.
Concerns.
Somebody goes down, and it's like, okay, well, now Cam Jones is in the game.
Yeah.
Or somebody, or Christensen, or whoever after that. Like, they have to continue to replenish.
Yes.
Veach is finding those supplements along the way here, which deserves tons of credit for. This is going to be a huge offseason. We're going to enjoy the next 2 weeks in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a huge offseason for Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, who, by the way, now has 5 straight games with at least 4 pressures.
Karlaftis does?
Karlaftis does.
Man.
5 straight games with at least 4 pressures. And got that last hit on Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if George Karlaftis doesn't win his matchup on the left tackle against Spencer Brown, maybe that pass by Josh Allen doesn't flutter as much.
Yeah.
By the way, I take some of the criticism back from Dalton Kincaid. I still think
I told you. It was hard.
Well, I still think a tight end needs to make that catch, or an NFL player needs to make that catch.
Sure.
But the view from behind the line of scrimmage in the All-22 that shows when Allen threw the ball, it was knuckling and sort of a duck, and then it looks like it almost curves to the left as it's falling.
Yeah.
And that's why Kincaid had to stop and then go back and then still misjudge where it was coming down while it was wobbling. And the Arrowhead lights at night that Tyreek Hill hates, that he's talked about a lot.
It was Manny Ramirez in left field.
Yeah, I mean, so watching it from that angle, everything going on, stopping, coming back, the ball fluttering and sort of a duck and then fading to the left. It looks like a slider to a degree, not a curve, but slider, going from 2 to 8.
Yeah.
It made it a little more difficult. But it also made it a little more difficult because George Karlaftis got there.
2 more. Sorry, Dylan. I know.
Dude,
very
he
quick.
Is so mad at you. Dylan,
Mike
don't say
Dana,
that about him. Don't say that about him.
Mike Dana and Turk Wharton.
Yeah.
That's more emphasis on the depth.
Well, they both
the
got
Chiefs
sacks. Those are the 2 sacks.
Yep.
Those are the 2 sacks in the game against Josh Allen. By the way, previous 2 games, they got a combined 0 sacks. They got 2 sacks in this game. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I want to talk about some of the Bills quotes from yesterday in their exit interviews and talking about the Chiefs, the offense, the designs, a couple of plays there, the breakdown of the Patrick Mahomes designed quarterback run where he pulled it and then goes and runs for a touchdown, what that looked like, and also we'll give Spags his flowers with what we've seen these last 2 weeks. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I want to get into a couple of things, offense and defense, schematically. But this came out right before the show, and I wanted to get to this in the first hour. Have you guys seen the numbers that have come in from the AFC Championship game and the viewership numbers, the ratings? Okay, so the Chiefs win over the Texans. Don't look, Dylan. The Chiefs win over the Texans in the divisional round last Saturday was the most watched non-Super Bowl National Football League game ever on ESPN platforms at 33 million viewers. How many did the game attract on Sunday night? 33 million viewers, the most watched non-Super Bowl entity for ESPN.
So we know it's over 33 million then.
It's got to be over 33.
It has to be over.
And that's just the ESPN platforms, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not the network, just network deals, because network is going to have a lot more than just regular ESPN.
That's a lot of people. I don't want to get too bullish here. I'll say my gut said this might be too much. I'll say 37. I'll go crazy with it. 37.
I'm going to go, because I remember seeing a 4 last year in the divisional round game. I'm almost positive when the Chiefs played the Bills. I might be wrong. I'm going to go with 41
okay.
million.
Look at you, Mick Schaefer. The Chiefs-Bills game marks the largest AFC Championship game audience ever on CBS and is the most watched game since the 2012 NFC Championship game between the Giants and 49ers, averaging 57.4 million viewers Sunday night. Chiefs and Bills.
I thought
almost doubled the amount of people that watch Chiefs and Texans. 57.6 was the Giants 49ers in 2012.
I misunderstood. That's me being stupid.
You're good. No worries.
I thought 33 was the previous high.
I
So-
said
33 was all ESPN platforms. And
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
said, ESPN platforms,
Yeah.
but network,
All
you're going to have
ESPN,
more.
yeah.
And by the way, that 2012 game was before everybody was cutting the cord. And everybody pretty much had
True.
all local channels
And maybe
at that time.
two
And
of
that was
the-
on Fox.
Two of the biggest fan bases in the NFC.
Giants,
as well.
49ers,
Both
100%.
coasts.
That's crazy, man. You said it was 50.
7.4. You know what the second
What?
the second most watched AFC Championship game was?
I'm going to go Chiefs, Patriots, 2018.
More recent.
Oh, really?
Chiefs Bengals.
More recent.
So Chiefs, Ravens last
Chiefs
year?
Ravens last year,
Wow.
55.5 million. This was 57.4 million.
Imagine if that game was in prime time, Chiefs, Ravens. I mean, everyone's watching
Imagine if
those,
we actually
but-
called America's team the real America's team.
Well, remember what I said. There's two. One that tells you they are all the time, then the one that wins and just naturally is.
The Chiefs, in their last 3 postseason games, non-Super Bowl, last 3 non-Super Bowl postseason games, set the AFC record for the most watched AFC Championship game ever, set the ESPN platforms record for the most watched non-Super Bowl football game ever, and set the AFC Championship game record on CBS ever in their last 3 non-Super Bowl playoff games.
It's insane. So for everyone that says that, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to watch.
I'm not gonna watch.
Chiefs are playing. I'm not watching.
Chiefs,
you
Texas.
liar.
Chiefs, Texas, I'm not watching. It's rigged. I'm not even going to. Why am I going to watch? I'm not even watching anymore. Oh, really? Well, then I guess you're the pyramid scheme, because while you're not watching, you attracted 3 people that are right under you. So that's okay, because you get the ratings because they get the ratings. It's all good.
That's what it is. It's all the people, they like to posture and say, I'm not watching. It's rigged. Which, by the way, if it's rigged, then why aren't you betting on the Chiefs?
That's what I mean, that's the
Never
dumbest,
makes any
It's the
sense.
dumbest thing ever. It's like, it's so rigged, it's dumb, and I got all this money on the Bills. Okay, well, if it's rigged, then put money on the Chiefs to beat the Eagles.
So not only are you're a dumbass twice now.
Yeah, that's right. For thinking that it's rigged, and then for not betting on it if you
Yes.
think it's rigged. If you that just shows they don't really believe it's rigged.
And unlike math, they don't cancel out.
And remember what happens.
2
then.
wrongs do make a right.
Then they all of a sudden become Chiefs fans.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
right.
not rigged, and it's very fair, and the
Yes.
officials aren't trying to help the Chiefs. So.
Or if you were annoyed, if you're an annoyed Ravens fan that thought the Bills got away with some calls in the divisional round, like an obvious pass interference, offensive pass interference that was called defensive pass interference, that was on a 3rd down and long that led to a touchdown for the Bills on that drive. Ravens fans thought that it was really hard to tell if it was a first down or not.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, let me throw this out there. I retweeted this yesterday from Timo Risk of Pro Football Focus. And it's an interesting point. He said, hot take. If you call a quarterback sneak, you subject yourself to a situation where the refs can't really see the ball and still have to make a close call. It's just a risk you accept. So you better want to leave no doubt that you got it.
Yes.
However, the sneaks before that fourth down sneak didn't give any confidence that the Bills could sneak this clearly beyond the marker. So they subjected themselves to a judgment call as the road team. It's just not clever at the end of the day. I think that's incredibly fair and logical.
Ross Tucker, an actual former NFL lineman this morning
Yeah.
on New Day, said the exact same thing as well. And he was on the field for a Philly game and was saying, I'm looking at these linemen down the line, and you're expecting these people 26 yards away to see when knee down and then where the ball is in a pile of 300-pound people.
And the Eagles don't leave it to doubt.
They don't leave. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Jalen Hurts' whole body is typically laying in the end zone from the 1 yard line on a tush push. The Chiefs did a great job stopping Josh Allen. The Super Bowl will be every possession is 1st and 9 for the Eagles.
I will say, though, that
More than it was against the Bills.
should give the Chiefs a lot of confidence. I know it's different team.
Should,
it
but
should give the Chiefs a lot of confidence.
it should, but the Eagles are a different beast and a different animal when it comes to the quarterback sneaks than the Bills.
Agreed.
And
But
Josh Allen kept doing the same thing.
going
Just
to
kept
the left
going left,
every single
going left,
time.
going left.
But I said the same. I said the same thing when
He's
the
like
Chiefs.
he's like a dude that is natural left-handed. He's got no right. Just guard him. He's going left. He's going left.
Go to church. Pray you don't guard me.
It's a NASCAR driver. He's only going left. Anyway.
But it was like when the Chiefs. I said this after the game. Yesterday. I go. The Chiefs never let any of those fourth downs go to chance. What did they do in that fourth down? Did they try and just pick up the exact amount, or did they
5 yards?
They picked up 5. I don't understand how you can be that. Again, if you want to be angry, that's your prerogative. You're going to be angry. I understand your team lost. But if you want to take a step back, be angry at the play calls. Be angry at McDermott and, is it Kellen Moore? Not Kellen Moore. That's
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady. Be mad at Joe Brady.
Yeah.
Because that's where I think Bills fans, which I haven't actually not seen a lot of Bills fans be that angry about this. Most Bills fans, I think, have actually been pretty rational. The majority have been, which is nice to see.
You can go check out my Twitter handle, but that's fine.
I said majority.
There are always the loud minorities that are out there of fan bases that are just crazy, fanatical fans. That's what they are. Every single fan base has it. I've talked about this with, Kentucky basketball. It's like Kentucky basketball has probably the same percentage of crazy basketball fans. They just have
Lunatic
a larger
fringe.
Yes, they just have
Kirk Street.
right, exactly. They have a larger volume of fans.
Yeah.
So their lunatic fringe of 5%, if everybody's got 5%, but they have 300% of the fans, their 5% is going to seem pretty loud.
And it can be like Chiefs right now because the Chiefs have such a large fan base.
Right, I know. Yeah. And on every Chiefs fan that's only been a Chiefs fan since 2019, which is what other fan bases tell me. Well, 2019, when all of a sudden these Chiefs fans came out of nowhere. Yeah, they came out of nowhere. Largest stadium in the NFL, or loudest stadium before Patrick Mahomes. Anyway, Timo Risk also followed that up and said, currently forgot about the chronological order, but they had another sneak where Allen had to jump over the line and stretch it out. That was a previous fourth down on that same drive, which you basically never want away from the goal line since it's a fumble waiting to happen. I don't think this was the day to try more sneaks for the Bills.
Yeah.
I mean, they had been stopped twice before. On the 2-point conversion, one of them, which took 2 points off the board by getting stopped. Josh Allen, because he was getting stopped, had to go to the jump over the line and fumbled the football. So you've already been shown to be stopped twice, and Allen fumbled on another one. And you say, let's run it again. I mean, that is banging your head against a wall. And also, shout out to the Chiefs defense for stoning up and doing that. I mean, they could have just gotten bulldozed, and it wouldn't have mattered. Nobody'd be arguing about where the spot is. But they bowed their backs up on the 2-point conversion and on that 4th down and 1. And caused the fumble on the other 4th down earlier in the drive. Like, they did what they had to do. I don't think they'll be nearly as successful against the Eagles because I think it is a different beast.
Sure.
But against the Bills, They did what they had to do on a team that views themselves as 1st and 9. But the extreme is the Eagles, depending on what country we're living in, how we conjugate things. The Eagles are the team that truly believes and probably plays it to the extreme of their first down starts with 9 yards.
I'm just so impressed with this defense, and I don't agree with a lot of PFF's grades actually right here. And I know that.
Well, let's not talk about them. If they're good grades and we agree with them, we'll bring them
No,
out.
I know, but there's a lot of very weird grades on both sides. No, Dylan, don't say that in my ear. We're not doing this. We're not
We're
hashing
doing the
this out
Bears'
again.
offensive line again?
No.
Well, no, because
That's full season.
Oh, you're right.
But you
Full
said you said
season
the Bears'
versus
offensive line was
singular game.
You said the Bears' offensive line was really good because of their PFF ranks.
No, I
heard that.
I said full season grades though were also different than single game sample size, fellas.
You know what? You lose a helmet sticker for that. No, I'm just joking.
Whoa! I have the helmet stickers.
We
right
got the
here.
helmet stickers.
We need the
just-
helmet.
We need the helmet now.
But I think what's so interesting is the Chiefs give up 29 points. You look at PFF, they don't look great. But I think if you watch that game, the Chiefs' defense was really solid in this one. Because even the touchdown that was given up, 2 of them I thought were just phenomenal efforts. The James Cook touchdown, they stopped him. It was a 4th down touchdown, right, to Curtis Samuel, right? That was on 4th down. The one to Mac Hollins, sheesh, you just tip your cap and
It was
say
0.5 yards of separation, which is one of the smallest, yards or area of separation in the playoffs in like a long time on a touchdown.
yeah,
reception.
and so again, good
McDuffie
offenses.
was there. I mean, what are you gonna do?
I thought the Chiefs' defense played a really good game. Even
Plus,
if
it was a false start by Deion Dawkins, but they don't call those.
Come on,
I just loved it. People, okay, that's one. You don't want to play this game? I'm like, oh, I do.
no,
I
I don't want to play this game.
Oh, but
I want to
people-
watch the game.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's after the game is over, though. Like, I do want to play the game because I know you guys are going to get schooled. If you come into my timeline, believe me, I have battled this all year.
I
I'm
know.
ready. You are not prepared. You don't have the training, the ammo, the weapons, or the expertise to come into my timeline and try to battle me on refs this year. I have
Jason
been
was
training.
born in the dark. You merely adopted it.
Don't try to come at me if you're talking about the refs.
Text says Josh Allen must not be an ambi-turner. From Zoolander. I can only turn left.
Can't go right.
Text says, why does Jason's Bane sound like Bill Walton? What an amazing movie he was. Just a villain. I remember my mentor, John Wooden, Wizard of Westwood. He always told me, play like Bane.
Desmond Bane.
That's right. That's what he told Bill Walton. I was born in the dark. You merely joined me here.
And then I woke up.
Yeah, that's right. We'll talk with Adam Teicher coming up at 11 o'clock. Get his thoughts on this Chiefs Championship Sunday, getting ready for the Super Bowl. What Super Bowl is this year? What's the number? 58? 59?
Right?
59? Okay. All right. I'll get it eventually.
LIX. That has got to be 59.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That was
Licks.
so bad.
Licks.
Licks it up.
Yeah, Chiefs are going to
Okay.
licks the floor with the Eagles.
Odds that during the Super Bowl they play "Lick It Up" by Kiss because of LIX for licks.
Fox does have like good,
Right?
yeah, they do have good music to break. They're one of those networks that does very
Yeah.
well. Like NBC does a good job too.
Yeah, the Chiefs Bills game was pretty good. I hated
was.
it when they played the Chili Peppers.
Throw
Give
it
it away,
away. Yeah,
give it away,
yeah.
give it away, give it away, give it away
That's pretty
now.
solid though.
I
If
was-
you weren't a Chiefs fan,
Yeah.
it's very well placed.
Did you
I
like
hated
the
it but respected it.
Did you like the graphics for the Sunday Night Football when anytime the Bills scored, they would show Buffaloes running through the screen? But when the Chiefs scored, they showed the next commercial.
My wife
So
was
that's
laughing,
what
going, was
that's
like,
what they showed.
she was crying. She
I
goes,
didn't see that.
She goes, that's the cheesiest thing I've ever seen.
Every single score, when we go to break, do we have to see the Buffaloes running through the screen, running right at us? If I was wearing 3D glasses, I'd be scared as hell right now.
What happened to 3D movies? We need to bring those back.
I don't know.
We have the technology.
Is it going to be an Andy Rooney
It was
skit
1997.
when you pass to the other side and
Same
Andy
thing that happened to movies in
Yes,
general.
that's
Streaming.
Right. That's true. Andy Rooney. Whatever happened to 3D movies? I remember when I was a kid, we'd always used to go to the 3D
Don't do
movie
your ice
theaters.
cream thing. No.
Nobody has iced cream anymore. When I was a child, we'd always go out. I'd say
Don't
room.
do it.
Chocolate was
Dylan,
my favorite.
what have we done?
My dad liked pistachio. Families don't do that anymore. That's the problem with the family structure. Iced cream, it's just an example of what's gone wrong with this country. So text comes in, says, banger bet right here. So 4-pick parlay. Bills over 27.5 points, under 32.5 points. Chiefs over 30.5 points, under 34.5 points.
Wow.
Plus 3,000.
Wow.
To get that exactly right. I mean, at that point, you might as well just pick like every score combination you could think of in that sort of range and just put a
Dude.
couple of bucks here or there on that. But man, about that, dude.
Thanks for texting me that. Appreciate it.
Texas can't believe you haven't seen the Gronk commercial yet where he says licks. You won't forget LIX. I haven't seen it yet.
I have not seen it.
Yeah.
Is it part of his lucrative acting career? Those USSSA commercials. I
Yeah.
missed those.
USAA.
That's because I was in the military. I can't do this.
No one can do,
No, I mean even A Star Is Born.
They've been trying to get
what's
dudes
his
to do
name?
that for years.
Actor's name, Star
Yeah.
Is Born.
Main actor, you mean?
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah,
Sam-
Bradley. Even Bradley
Sam
Cooper
Elliott,
sort
yeah.
of tried to be Sam Elliott.
No one can be.
Impossible.
Everyone's tried to do Sam Elliott, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
you can't be Sam Elliott.
We'll hear him later.
My mom too.
He'll be on the show later when Todd shows
Bradley Cooper will be on the show.
up. No, Sam Elliott when Todd comes on.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
He introduces Todd
There's
every
a
time
man.
in the
That's
new
right.
intro.
There's a man. Yeah, we got a new intro for that one. Oh, thank God. That's great.
Well,
But-
he's just the dude.
It's not bad. It's
Got
not bad.
some sarsaparilla.
That's right. That's not bad. It sounds like Jim Rome, trying to sound like Sam Elliott, but it's close. But yeah, Bradley Cooper said his entire voice in A Star Is Born, it was just trying to sound like Sam Elliott. It was his whole thing, singing like him, talking like him.
incredible.
The whole thing was like, I'm going to try to do an impersonation of Sam Elliott here with this deep voice, and you just can't do it. Nobody can impersonate Adam Teicher either. He's next.
games the Chiefs have played versus compared to, I guess, almost any other team in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's wild.
They played an extra season. I mean, Patrick Mahomes in his 7 years has played 20 games in the postseason. 20 games alone in the postseason. This year, they have played 19 games. I mean, he hasn't played 19 games because they didn't play game number 17. So it's a full season's worth, including postseason. Let's bring in Adam Teicher here to the Zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Twin Peaks. Adam, how are you, sir?
Good, Jason. How are you doing today?
I am doing just fine. We joked at the beginning of the show, Adam, in previewing you coming on, that the Chiefs will just not let you retire. You have to get on the plane one more time. You got to cover every day down in New Orleans, all of the media availability, all of the press conferences, all of the talking, opening night Monday, the game on Sunday, the post game on Sunday, the Monday press conferences, all of that before you can ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. After the game on Sunday, I ran into a few of the Chiefs people, and they were like, people working for the Chiefs, and they were, giving it to me. They're like, you're not going anywhere yet. You got to stick around for another couple weeks. So, it was kind of funny. But, yeah, I mean, I got to break rocks down in New Orleans for a week next week. So, hey, somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to do the dirty work, right?
That's right. We Sterling and I just put it together that the most games that a team can play in one season is 21. And the last 2 years of your time covering the Chiefs, they would play, 21, so 2 years would be 42. They've played 41 of 42 maximum number of games in the last 2 years of your time covering the Chiefs. So, good for you, though. You know what? They're doing it for you. You could, Adam, the Chiefs said they can't think about it because, it's one step at a time in a process. Adam, have you sat back to think about what it'd be like if your last time covering an NFL game would be covering a team that would three-peat for the first time in NFL history?
It would be unbelievable. It really would. I mean, I don't get, generally speaking, I don't get too wrapped up in wins or losses because it's more about the stories to tell and less about who wins and who loses. But this would be a great story. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, that would be a great story if this would be the first team to get this done in NFL history. No doubt about it.
Speaking with Adam Teicher from ESPN. All right, Adam, what was your takeaway from the game on Sunday night, except for the fact that the refs screwed the Bills, and that's the only reason the Chiefs won? Other than that, we put that aside and get your fake takeaway because you didn't watch the game. But in all seriousness, what was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, actually, that was not a takeaway of the game that I had.
Honestly, Adam, I hate where sorry to interrupt, but just real quick, and then we'll move on, because I don't want to talk about officials. I just want to say this quick point about the conversation. We've gotten to a point about this whole thing this year in Twitter and social media that we have people that watched that classic game, Adam, and they came away from that classic game screaming and yelling about an inch or two on a spot on a fourth down.
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
I can't tell you whether that was a good call or not, but it certainly was close, and that's I don't feel like that's what decided the game. No. When the Chiefs kicked the field goal there with 3.5 minutes left to go ahead by 3, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be Josh Allen's moment. This is the moment that the Bills are going to have a good chance to get rid of this ugly history they've had and do something big and on a big stage and finally slay the dragon, right? And they still couldn't do it, and so I don't really put a whole lot of stock in that, and this conspiracy stuff is just getting really old really fast. So I try not to pay a whole lot of attention to it. So my fake takeaway, as you might suggest, from this game,
I love that,
is that the Chiefs are pretty good. That's what
Makes sense.
I took away from that game. Seriously, they all of the different ways, or many of the different ways that they can beat you, were on display, right? On Sunday night, from the coaching to some pretty good game plans and some new creative stuff, particularly on offense, from the Chiefs that we hadn't seen, but also on the defensive side as well, to a 40-yard punt return that gave the Chiefs a short field for a touchdown drive, to the talents of the quarterback that we've seen before, but maybe not to this extent. I thought he played a great game, not just passing the ball, but throwing it, or not just passing the ball, but running it as well. And defensively, they not only were physical enough or smart enough to limit the damage done by the tush push, including on a 2-point conversion that could have made a pretty big difference in the final score, or who won, but also with their blitzing at the right times. I mean, they certainly weren't blitzing like abandoned like they did the week before against Houston, but still very effective with it. And offensively, they not only had the 4 touchdowns and the field goal, but they showed their ability to pick up a couple first downs at the end of the game and not give the ball back to the Bills. So I thought we saw a lot of what the Chiefs can do in terms of versatility and make the things that make them hard to beat.
It was it's tough to say, like in a 32-29 game where a team gives up almost 30 points and you go, man, this seemed like a full team effort game. The coaches always say the 3 phases of the game, and then they always have to say those 3 phases in case you have forgotten. It's offense, defense, and special teams. But in this one, like the offense goes out and scores the most points all year. The defense gets 2 different 2-point conversion stops, gets that 4th down and 1 stand, gets the 4th down and 5 and gets off the field and ultimately ends the game. And Nico Remigio has yet another, week in which he has a big punt return, but also Harrison Butker, right down the middle on that 32 or the how long was the kick for Butker? 35, 35-yard kick. It didn't just slide through the uprights or anything. It was right down the middle. And that's sort of forgotten because of, the Bills having the ball next and then the Chiefs running out the clock. It was just like, oh, yeah, Butker, he's going to make this. Okay, so the Chiefs are going to be up 32-29. And it wasn't a, Bass lining up like last year of trailing 27-24 for the Bills, and is he going to make this 44-yarder? But it was an overall game and a team game that they all had to work, hand in hand for this thing to come together, and they did that, and in big moments, stepping up in big times. And so, yeah, that was my takeaway too, is that for all the chatter about the offense this year, they went out and played a phenomenal game and called a great game. The mistake being, the giveaway, not even a takeaway for the Bills, but the giveaway when the Chiefs were averaging, almost 9 yards per play and hadn't faced a 3rd down yet. And we're going to go up 14-3, let's be honest, on that drive. Bills weren't stopping them. But that's the only real, feel like mistake that was made in that game. And the defense gave up 29, but when they had to make a play that was difference-making in the game, 2 different 2-point conversions and 2 different 4th down stops, they stepped up and did it.
Yeah, and there were some other things that give you maybe a little bit of reason for concern. That Bills drive, the touchdown drive in the 3rd quarter, where they just ran the
James
ball down.
Cook.
The Chiefs what's that going to look like against Saquon Barkley if the Chiefs can't figure that out, And so that makes you wonder a little bit. And, the dropped interceptions on the first Bills possession, probably not. It turns out that those weren't necessarily big plays because the Chiefs ended up scoring anyway. But those are plays that you figure the Chiefs are going to need to make against the Eagles, that if Brian Cook's got to catch that first one or Najee Johnson has to catch that second one, I mean, they need to make those plays. I thought, we were talking last week that the Chiefs had to be even or better in the turnover department to beat the Bills, and they weren't, and they still found a way, and that good for them. But I don't know how sustainable that is against good opponents. When those kinds of things present themselves, you have to take advantage.
Yeah, and I know that that they don't count turnover on downs as turnovers. But if we throw in the turnover on downs, then the Chiefs technically would have won the turnover battle 2-1. Yeah, because if let's say on that 4th down and 1 quarterback sneak that they didn't get or did get or didn't get, and nobody really had a great angle or shot or a definitive view. Like if Josh Allen takes the snap but fumbles it and the Chiefs fall on it and they start the drive at the 40+ yard line, that technically would be a turnover, and it'd be like, well, they recovered a fumble. Yeah. I just don't know. It's weird. They can review the play after a turnover on downs because it's a turnover, but the box score and the NFL does not view that as a turnover. So I don't know. I mean, it's they did lose the turnover battle in the official record books, and they are the first team in the playoffs to do that. I mean, it's also like the odds. I'd have to somebody that's much smarter than I, maybe an analytical perspective from ESPN or wherever, but Adam, the odds of the ball falling on the field 5 times in a fumble and one team recovering all 5 of them is astronomically low in the NFL with an oblong football like that.
Yeah, and then you throw in the 2 dropped interceptions we talked about, and
yeah, right,
you know,
right.
it was there for the Chiefs. You felt like, you know, and you know, hey, maybe those will even out or go the Chiefs' way in the Super Bowl. Who knows? But yeah, that's something. Those 50-50 balls, you know, those are something the Chiefs have to do better at.
Yeah, visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN. So a lot of things that you broke down and talking about some takeaways. A couple of things that I want to get into. Let's start with Steve Spagnuolo because we've talked so much offense and Patrick Mahomes. We did that yesterday, a lot of that. But I want to talk about Steve Spagnuolo, and I tweeted this out earlier today, Adam, that in these 2 games in the playoffs against the Texans and the Bills, the Texans game, the Chiefs had a 56% pressure rate, which against C.J. Stroud was the highest this year for the Texans. C.J. Stroud facing 56% pressure rate, his highest this year. The Chiefs had a 46% pressure rate against Josh Allen, which was his highest this year. 10 total sacks, and they faced 78 dropbacks, and they got 39 pressures. So in these 2 games against an awful offensive line like the Texans, right, you're not going to be able to do that to the Bills and Josh Allen. And then against one of the best offensive lines in the Bills and Josh Allen, they pressured those 2 quarterbacks combined 50% of the dropbacks. I mean, that's a Spag stat.
Yeah, no, it is. And, you know, hey, those of us who have watched him since he's been with the Chiefs know what kind of defensive play caller he is. And you know, we're sort of used to this. But has he had a finer moment with the Chiefs than these 2 games? Oh. And particularly this one, you know, that you got to be real careful with Josh Allen, you know, and I felt like they were, you know, I don't felt like there was ever really a time where they became undisciplined or reckless with him. I felt like it was always under control, and you know, you got to love that 4th down call, not just because it worked. I mean, any time you get 2 guys kind of running free like that, it was fantastic. And you know, heck, even Josh Allen almost made that work, you know, I mean, by just throwing that, you know, making that throw to Kincaid. It still almost worked. So, but still, you have to tip your hat to him. I mean, that was, you know, maybe his finest moment with the Chiefs in a stay or, you know, a 5-6 year period, however long it's been for him, that's been filled with pretty good ones. This might have been his best.
Yeah, a couple of plays that that came up big. That you know, Trent McDuffie blitzing on a couple of them last year. What was it? 3rd down and 5 at the Chiefs' 35-yard line at the 2-minute warning when Brock Purdy threw the pass and it was a blitzing. Trent McDuffie knocked it down. I mean, if they don't blitz Trent McDuffie and they just play it straight, do they pick up? If the 49ers pick up the 1st down, they probably run out the clock and kick a field goal at the end of the game because that was the 2-minute warning. Instead, that ball gets knocked down. They kick a field goal. We know the Chiefs go down and kick a field goal, and then we know what happened in overtime. And this one bringing that blitz. And what was fascinating about this blitz, Adam, is so many people on the Bills talking about that they had shown that all game and did not bring the blitz what they were showing until that particular play where they showed that and then brought the blitz. I can't remember who said it. I'll try to find it on if I retweeted it or something. But they said it was like Spagnuolo spent the entire game setting up that one 4th down play.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't put that past him, you know. I think there's entirely that chance that he did do that, waiting for the right moment to use it, and knowing that he was probably going to need it on a big drive late in the game. I fully expect, I have not asked him about that, but I fully expect that's what it was, that he was saying, okay, we're going to show this look a couple times, but we're not going to use it. And then when we really need it, when we really have to bring it out of our back pocket, we're going to use it. And, man, I tell you what, I don't think I would have the nerve to send my best cover corner on a blitz on a play like that.
On 4th and 5.
I think I want Trent McDuffie on, Amari Cooper or Hollins or Shakir or somebody, down the field. So for him to do that just takes, I guess it's some unbelievable nerve that I just don't have. I mean, I would take Trent McDuffie and have him in coverage, but he's a good blitzer too.
Yep.
He's really effective at doing it, and that's part of the equation. That's part of what he's thinking about there.
Well, and again, it was Trent McDuffie blitz on 3rd and 5 in the Super Bowl last year when McDuffie knocked it down. I mean, they could have had, hey, McDuffie, stay with Juwan Jennings. He's been killing us. You've got Juwan Jennings. He did. He just blitzed while he was showing that he was guarding Juwan Jennings. And then Brock Purdy threw to the blitz. It's just McDuffie knocked it down. Would have been a first down. And again, history might be different. We might be talking about, well, the Patriots went to 3 Super Bowls in a row, and they won the first and won the third. The Chiefs can match that. No, we're talking about them winning it. I found the quote. It is Osiris Torrance, the guard for the Bills, that talked about after the game, Steve Spagnuolo, and said they were sending heat where the Chiefs weren't showing it pre-snap. Said, quote, they set it up. It was like they were waiting to get in that situation all game to bring out that one pressure look. That was a Bills guard after the game was over. Like, yeah, he got us. I mean, he got us. They'd been doing this all game. We saw the scouted looks. This was tendency. We went with tendency. They showed it from the right side. They had Nick Bolton on the left. Chris Jones is on the left. They've showed it. They're not bringing it. McDuffie is not going to blitz when there's one-on-one on the outside there, and Brian Cook is 15 yards down the field, and it's only 5 yards. We're sliding protection left.
It's like the Pirine dump-off. Like, you're not throwing it to Samaje Pirine when you have Hollywood, DeAndre, and Kelsey on the field. It's the defensive version. You're not taking your cover corner off the best guy we have on the biggest down of the play, and the quarterbacks maybe just completely ignore it.
And you've showed this.
Wrong.
You've showed this all game. You're not bringing it. We're not falling for it. And Justin Reed is going to back off, and we know what's going to happen here. Instead, he did exactly what maybe he had been setting up and what the Bills did not think they were going to do.
And, I feel like with all the stuff the Chiefs did in this game, this was not a game plan they came up with solely during this week.
100%. Oh, yeah.
We talk about the time that the Chiefs had between the Pittsburgh game and the Houston game in the playoffs, that 3-week period. There was some preparing going on for this game back then. I think the Chiefs knew that eventually they were going to play the Bills, and I'm sure there was some preparation for the Ravens as well going on during that time. But they used that time wisely, not just to give players like Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and Mahomes and others a physical and mental break. They were using it coaching-wise to get ready for games like this. And I'm wondering whether maybe they did a little bit for the Eagles as well. I don't know whether they did or not, but to me, this is not stuff, all of this stuff you come up with. You don't sit there on Monday morning after the Houston game, the Houston playoff game,
That's right.
and rub your hands together and say, okay, what do we do now? No, they had some of this stuff already drawn up. I'm convinced of that. And they use their time wisely. Let's put it that way.
And a shout out to also, what Chris Jones does while he's on the field. There was that long, conversation and complaint from Chiefs fans while the Chiefs were winning Super Bowls and going to Super Bowls that Chris Jones wasn't getting postseason sacks. And ignoring in the 2019 Super Bowl when he had, 3 different passes batted down and also, knocked the lineman to the ground on Frank Clark's sack at the end of the game. Like, they also had to double team him, which allowed, might have been Neiman that came through to hit Jimmy Garoppolo. I can't remember who it was exactly. But still, this is continuing from Osiris Torrance talking about Steve Spagnuolo. The same, quote that he was discussing on that play. He says, he hides it pretty well, the pressures. So it's hard to pinpoint one specific area to get better at because the D-line is moving, the linebackers are communicating, the safeties are coming, the cornerback's blitzing. So they're all moving around. It's not like you just pinpoint one specific area and try to hold up. And then you've got Chris Jones up front. I feel like with a guy like Chris Jones playing against him 4 times now, it makes it a lot easier to call defense because the offensive line has got to respect where he's at. And if he's on one end, you likely could bring it to the other side. But if that blitz doesn't come, Now you've left Chris Jones one-on-one. It's a great dilemma, right? We slide the protection left because now we can double team Chris Jones. We don't think they're going to come. Wait a minute, we think they're going to come. We're sliding the protection right. Now we've left Chris Jones on a guard one-on-one.
Yeah, well, part of this is that Steve Spagnuolo has good players who are versatile players who can do a lot of different things with, and that's part of this. I don't overlook what a great game Justin Reed had the other day.
For sure.
I thought Justin Reed was maybe the Chiefs' best defensive player, and that's saying something because a lot of guys played well, but he's so versatile. You can do a lot of different things with him, and I feel like Spagnuolo is not just creative, but he's creative in using the talents of his various players in their most useful ways. There's a lot going on there for the Chiefs defensively, and it's not just Steve Spagnuolo with his X's and O's. It's that plus him maximizing maybe the talents of his players.
Yeah. Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN, whether people care about Pro Football Focus or not, Justin Reed was the second highest graded defensive player on the field behind Chris Jones in that game on Sunday night. So to your point, Chris Jones was credited with 8 pressures in the game. On 36 pass rushes, he got 8 pressures in the game. He didn't get a sack because there was only 2. It was Turk Wharton and Mike Dana, who, by the way, shout out Mike Dana for a great game. He was really good going up against some pretty good tackles and causing pressure that way as well. Adam, I want to talk about Josh Allen, what we saw from him, and certainly Patrick Mahomes in the offense. We'll break down the Chiefs and Eagles next week, but some more about what we saw in this game. But we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get into that. What the Chiefs and Andy Reid did in this game for the first time they did all year, which goes back to our conversation we had about Teddy Bruschi saying the Chiefs know how to win the game they are in, not necessarily the game they were planning to be in. We'll talk about that on the other side with Adam Teicher. More Zone next. ESPN Chiefs insider, getting ready to cover his final game of his NFL writing career, is Adam Teicher. Adam, looking back at this game, we talk about the level that players play at, and, we discussed that, Patrick didn't have a great game against the Texans. It got better as the game went along. It started off pretty slow. Maybe that was rust and everything, but he was downright brilliant in this game with the reads, when to pull it, when to hand off. It was the one time where the mesh point didn't work out, but picking up, 4 first downs scrambling in the first half alone, 2 rushing touchdowns that are there, delivering the dimes on time and accurately. And Adam, when I had an idea that it was going to be a great Patrick Mahomes day, was an incomplete pass, oddly enough. And it was the incomplete pass to Hollywood Brown where Christian Benford, before he got concussed again, was right there and got a hand in at the last second as Hollywood Brown's outstretched arms, and it was just a drop in the bucket for Patrick Mahomes. 35 yards down the field, just laid it in the bucket. He wasn't doing that against the Texans. And I said to my son, I go, we got good Pat today. We got brilliant Pat today. And he was, it's one of his, by some of those advanced metrics, it's one of his greatest games he has ever played. It's the highest of his career in drop back success rate. And it's the highest of his career in first down percentages of passes that were thrown. 59% of all of his passes were first downs. Both of those were the highest of his career.
No, he was great throwing the ball, but don't overlook his running as well, which I know you haven't. But, to me it was a big deal that he outrushed Josh Allen. On the surface, it's only like, 4 or 5 yards or something, so probably not that big of a deal. But Josh Allen's running is bigger to the Bills' offense than Mahomes' running is to the Chiefs' offense generally. And yet he outrushed Allen by just a handful of yards, but also with the 2 touchdowns as well. So to me, that was a huge part of his game Sunday. So, yeah, I mean, it was him on display, not just his passing, not just his decision making, but the whole ball of wax there. I mean, it was really a something to see. Both those guys put on a show. I think the Chiefs. I think Josh Allen, to the extent the Chiefs let him, some of those throws he made, the touchdown to Holmes, what a throw that was, right? So it was a show, and I'm glad I got to see that, no doubt.
And, this isn't to take a shot at Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is a really good quarterback, and I believe that Josh Allen is going to win a Super Bowl in his career. He's the second best, unless he ends up being Patrick Ewing or Karl Malone to Patrick Mahomes, Michael Jordan. Then maybe we'll be talking about that with or Barkley. We'll be talking about that with Josh Allen. But I think he's too good not to win a Super Bowl. But in this game, when Josh Allen, after the game was over, said that he slid the protection left because of what we talked about with Spags and Osiris, Torrance talking about sliding the protection left. I don't know if I've seen Patrick Mahomes get fooled that bad on a look from the defense that it was just, complete and total chaos and breakdown because there were multiple free rushers because he set the protection wrong. And that's such an underrated part of Patrick Mahomes. Like, even in that game, you heard him on the audio, safety's coming. And then the safety blitz. I don't, and it's not a knock on Allen, because I think there's a lot of quarterbacks that Spagnuolo has fooled. And maybe Spagnuolo might have gotten Patrick Mahomes a couple times in the preseason in training camp. I don't know. But we just don't see that from Patrick Mahomes in those big moments where just a complete miss on a down that important as to where the pressure is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably been a time or two where that's happened, but yeah, I mean, not certainly in a big game and a big moment like that, and but I still think the world of Josh Allen.
I do too.
And I agree. I think there is going to come a day where he wins the Super Bowl. I don't know when that's going to be, but I do feel like they'll break the door down at some point, and I mean, they've been so close. I mean, that playoff game last year, you remember, was a close game, and obviously this one was. And and then the 13-second game obviously was. So, it's definitely something I think is coming, but credit to the Chiefs, they haven't allowed it yet.
And, again, this is also agreeing with you that I think the world of I think he's the second best quarterback in the league. I think he's going to win the Super Bowl. But the difference when we talk about these minuscule games and margins that happen, and we talk about Chiefs winning in the margins all the time, that these last 2 years where the Chiefs have beaten the Bills in the playoffs, 27-24 and now 32-29, when the Chiefs took the lead 27-24, after that, Hardman fumbled through the end zone after they took the lead 27-24. That was after the fake punt.
Mm-hmm.
But the Chiefs took the lead 27-24. Josh Allen and the Bills offense had 3 more possessions in that game. The Chiefs took the lead 32-29. Josh Allen and the Bills offense had 1 possession left. That's 4 total possessions. They picked up a total of 76 yards. They went 3 and out twice, turned it over on downs, and missed a 44-yard field goal. I really like Josh Allen, I do, and I think he's gonna bust through the door. But that's a big difference in where Patrick Mahomes is 20-3 or 17-3 in his 20 playoff games and has 3 Super Bowls and maybe 4, is because in those fourth quarters, have to have it drives, he gets it. That's what happens.
Man, I saw some stats, and you probably saw these as well, that, Patrick Mahomes has had, I think, 11 postseason possessions over the years. This is his whole career. Just the playoffs in the fourth quarter with the Chiefs needing down 1 score. Or maybe he was including when they were tied. And they've got, 8 touchdowns and 3 field goals? All of the field goals tied the game.
Yeah.
So it's not like they, were settling there. I mean, this was had-to-have-it type things, and he's delivered every single time. I mean, that's just amazing when they've been, close in the fourth quarter. So, he's almost an unfair measuring stick to a lot of guys. He really is.
Yeah, the trailing in the fourth quarter and overtime in the postseason. This is the stat I saw from Josh Dubois at the AP. Said trailing in the fourth quarter and overtime in playoff games, when the score is within 1 to 8 points and the Chiefs are trailing, they have had 14 drives and they have scored 13 touchdowns on those 14. They have scored 13 of the 14 drives that they have needed that. When it was within 1 to 8 points that game. Trailing. That's just trailing in the fourth quarter overtime of a playoff game. 14 drives, they've come through 13 times putting points on the board. He has a 132 quarterback rating.
Is that good?
I think so. Good? If you're into that sort of thing, if you're into that GOAT status stuff, that's pretty good. Adam Teicher is our guest. I also wanted to give some props to Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, and those guys for the Chiefs' first and fourth touchdown that they scored in the game. The first touchdown was the handoff to Kareem Hunt to the left side with the pulling of Trey Smith and Juwan Taylor, and they score that touchdown. And the fourth touchdown was Patrick Mahomes' run to the right side when he had Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy out in front of him, and Noah Gray as well out in front of him. That was the exact same play, run twice. The first one, he handed it to Kareem Hunt, and the second one, he kept it. The first one, the Bills stayed with the tight ends, Noah Gray and Travis Kelce, going to the right, and Kareem Hunt had an easier lane. The second one, the defense just pursued to the right, just thinking this is going to be Kareem Hunt again. And that's why there was such a wide open path for Patrick Mahomes. So 2 things. That play that they ran, it was the same play twice. The Bills, Gregory Rousseau, said they had never seen that in any breakdown of any play they had watched. Colin Saunders said, for real, I said the same thing as the play happened. I've never seen a quarterback keeper with Pat, and I'm talking about this through 4 years of games and practice. If you ain't never seen something in practice, then you know it's never been scouted. Andy Reid and Spags were in their bag. And I think it was your colleague Dan Orlovsky that said credit the Baltimore Ravens for the Chiefs, because he showed last week against the Bills, the Ravens running that play, that 2 tight end, 1 running back pistol formation with Mahomes in the middle, that the Ravens ran that against the Bills and scored on. And it's like they scored 2 touchdowns on a play that the Ravens broke out last week against the Bills.
Yeah. So it's just it was really a great coaching job by the Chiefs. I feel like, if not what you're just talking about, the 2 tight end pistol formation, even without that, I feel like there was a lot of stuff the Chiefs put in, going back a few weeks, that they had this in their back pocket waiting for this particular game.
Yeah, visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN. Also wanted to point out, too, that Andy Reid in this game, going back to what we talked about last week with Teddy Bruschi's line, Adam, Andy Reid in this game went for it on 4th down in their own territory. That is the only time this year they have attempted a 4th down in their own half of the field was in this game. I mean, it's playing the game you're in, coaching the game you're in.
Yeah, and I was really surprised that he decided to do that. That was really unlike him and in that down and distance and situation, but they did, and turned out to be a pretty big play, no doubt.
Yep. Visiting with Adam Teicher from ESPN. Adam, we will see you down in New Orleans. Enjoy the week, the final week and a half of covering the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll talk to you down there as well. We'll see you down there. Safe travels, and appreciate the time as always on this Tuesday, bud.
All right, Jason, good stuff, and we'll see you down there.
Absolutely. There's Adam Teicher from ESPN, and Chiefs heading to New Orleans. As we said, last week heading into this game, look, we'll be going to New Orleans regardless to cover the Super Bowl for, Sports Radio 810. I hope the Chiefs are with us. I hope they're on the plane with us. They're not going to be on the plane with us. So
Wait,
that part of it was disappointing. I was disappointed in that.
I was told that
What?
we'd be on the same plane with them.
No.
No?
Nope. We do arrive the same day as they do.
Bummer.
It's just
same time, hopefully.
Same time, yeah. But
probably same. Exactly. It'd be cool.
Right.
To say we're with the team.
yeah, but me, you, and Todd, we just get to land on the tarmac and walk right off the plane just like they do.
Yeah.
So that's just for us
I'm
three.
a practice squad guy.
Yeah, but they're
I'm
gonna
a practice squad long snapper.
they're gonna inflate the little slide for you though. That's gonna be fun to watch you do that. More so next. Michaels heading up until 2 o'clock. 1 o'clock, Todd Lebo will be our guest. We'll play some Fact or Fiction with Todd.
Fact.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yep.
Why not?
Hey. The difference between the all-time greats and the really goods / potentially greats of their generation can maybe boil down to a few possessions here or there, a few plays here or there. Because the story around Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes is much different if the 13-second game, if it was 8 seconds left on the clock and the Chiefs, threw a Hail Mary instead of kicking the field goal going into overtime. Maybe Josh Allen and the Bills break through, beat the Bengals.
Or if the field goal was missed.
Yeah, right. If Butker doesn't make the field goal, or if they win the coin toss, right?
Yeah.
Last year, maybe Bass makes the field goal and the Chiefs don't get anything and it's overtime, whatever. Maybe that happens. This year, we're talking about a 6-point game, a 6-point game in overtime, a 3-point game, and a 3-point game. If the Chiefs don't get that field goal, it would be the last 3 games would be 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. That has been this rivalry in the last 3 games. Wider margin in the AFC Championship game first go around in 2020.
That was a different team. I think the Bills they weren't the same team.
Yeah, agreed. And so we're in this spot watching Chiefs and Bills and how slim the difference is between an all-time great, which is Patrick Mahomes, maybe, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. It's not just what he does in the games and the plays that he makes and how creative he is and accurate he is and how smart he is in recognizing defensive schemes and blitzes and everything. But it's when the big moments happen that he steps up and plays his best. The stat that we gave yesterday about the 14 drives when the Chiefs in the playoffs in fourth quarter overtime trailing by 1 to 8 points within a score. They've had 14 drives. The Chiefs have scored on 13 of them. Patrick Mahomes has led 13 of 14 scoring drives when they've had the ball trailing by 1 to 8 points. The Buffalo Bills, the last 2 years against the Chiefs in the divisional round and the AFC Championship game. I gave this stat to Adam Teicher. This is not to downgrade Josh Allen. To me, this is more of a Patrick Mahomes stat. This is more of a you can be good / great, but an all-time great does these little things that it's tough to get by. The Chiefs took the lead 27-24 last year against the Bills in the divisional round. The Bills had 3 possessions after that, trailing by 3. The Chiefs took the lead 32-29 in this game in the championship. The Bills had 1 possession here. That's 4 total possessions that they had the ball trailing by a field goal against the Chiefs. They have gone 3 and out, missed 44-yard field goal, and then turnover on downs, 4 plays, 17 yards. They have gained a total of 76 yards on 4 possessions, trailing by 3 points against the Chiefs. So it's a couple things. It's a Mahomes stat, but it's also a Spags and Chiefs defense stat because they had to hold the line. Because, again, the Chiefs went up 27-24. After going up 27-24, that's when the Bills went 3 and out and then faked the punt. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs got the ball. And Mahomes, Mecole Hardman fumbles through the end zone. Yeah. Puts the game away. 10 minutes to go. Chiefs are up by 10 at that point. Game, set, match. It's over. And instead, they fumble through the end zone, and which was obviously the official's fault. That Mecole Hardman, of course, they called it a fumble through the end zone. The officials hate the Chiefs. And so that kept the Bills alive. They still had 2 possessions after that because people don't remember after Mecole Hardman fumbled through the end zone, the Bills went 3 and out.
Yeah.
That defense then bowed up again and forced a 3 and out. Chiefs didn't pick up many yards, but they kicked the ball down to, it might have gone into the end zone, the punt. But either way, the Bills started at the 20-yard line, missed a 44-yard field goal. And then we know what happened on Sunday. Like those are generation legacy, maybe not generation, but legacy defining drives. And Josh Allen had one of those in the 13-second game to go down by 4 to throw a touchdown pass with 13 seconds left. Legacy defining drive that he was trumped because Patrick Mahomes scored 9 points in the next 5 minutes and 13 seconds.
Well, it would have been because the 4 touchdowns to Gabe Davis and the back and forth, and he comes out on top with 13 seconds. I mean, that would have gone down in the pantheon for Josh Allen. He goes up legacy-wise.
Yes.
So high. But because Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, he said, hey, that's okay, little buddy. You gave it a great
We
try.
got this.
You gave it a great try, though.
Do it, Kels. Do it.
But honestly, just with the Chiefs' defense, what is so wild, this is more anecdotal than anything else, so I apologize if someone's going to say, hey, Curtis is probably listening going, no, Sterling, that's wrong. But the Chiefs' defense almost always looks better in the second half. The first half,
He just yelled, you're wrong.
a lot of times it feels like even the first drive. I know it wasn't this particular one against Buffalo.
First drive of the second half is when they typically they've been those long third quarter drives.
Yes, but defensively, I think the Chiefs have always gotten better in the second half. It's almost like a boxer. That first half, Spags is trying to see what the offense is trying to do. And then the second half, they take it away, and the offense is left perplexed of the opposing team. I think it's what makes Spags so good. So I've tried to calm down when teams score in that opening drive. Didn't happen this past time around where Buffalo and Josh looked nervous. But I've learned to say, okay, if they look bad on that first drive, that first possession, it's okay. You know why? Spags is going to try and Spags will, not try, he will figure out what they're doing and take it away from them. It's almost that patience factor. It's like he lulls you into a sense of security, and then he rips away that security blanket.
Well, I mean, it's the again the Osiris Torrance quote that he gave Tyler Dunn, in that the blitz there at the end of the game. Can you play the Josh Allen 13 seconds clip here? It's not the clip about the 13-second game. It's just his answer about that last blitz by the Chiefs on 4th and 5. It just happens to be 13 seconds. His answer, that was total coincidence, I promise you. No sarcasm whatsoever. I promise you, it was total coincidence. But here's Josh Allen when asked about that blitz by the Chiefs when 2 different rushers came free.
Yeah, they gave a good look. Didn't see anything in my first cadence. We were sliding left. Corner came. Yeah.
So he ends it with the, yeah. But he also said there that I didn't see anything in my first cadence.
Mm-hmm.
We were sliding left. As we've heard and talked about, they slid the protection left to double team Chris Jones and to account for Nick Bolton, who was at the line of scrimmage, and to think the Chiefs were faking Justin Reed and not expecting Trent McDuffie to blitz on 4th down and 5 when he's your best cover corner. And he blitzes when they are in those tight space splits and McDuffie's covering the slot, he likes to blitz.
Yeah.
And he told either Sam McDowell or Jesse Newell after the game in a conversation they had that McDuffie specifically went to that part of the field so he could blitz. It was an option blitz for McDuffie. It's an option look for McDuffie, and he wanted to be the one that blitzed. And so
Who doesn't, by the way?
that's why he went to that side and guarded that spot instead of the other side and let, whether that be Jalen Watson or somebody else. So McDuffie went to that side, and he had the option of blitzing or not, depending on the look. And when he saw there was no running back there, he alerted the defense, alerted Brian Cook, I'm going, so that Brian Cook knows at the snap, I've got to sprint over here. I can't cheat, because if I start to cheat, that's an indication to Josh Allen that, well, why is this safety cheating? We've got 3 guys over here and 1 guy over there. Why is this safety cheating this way? Oh, they're going to bring McDuffie. Yeah. Okay, no, he had to wait, so he had to know. So all that communication that takes place pre-snap that they've worked on, and McDuffie had the option, do I blitz or not?
Yep.
And he blitzed, and they got him.
No indication.
And Osiris Torrance said after the game to Tyler Dunn, when talking about that blitz specifically, as Josh Allen just said, I didn't pick up anything in the cadence. We slid the protection left. Osiris Torrance said that they had been showing that look. They had been showing blitz and bringing it from the other side. Showing blitz, bringing it from a spot that they weren't showing it. And so they didn't expect it to happen this time as well. And he said, Osiris Torrance said, quote, they set it up. It was like they were waiting to get in that situation all game to bring out that one pressure. I mean, that's just Spags being a witch, man. I mean, I mean, that's not a mistake, though, right? That's not we've been doing this. Oh, this will work now. Like, that's got to be to where we're doing certain things through this game. That's right. Get educated. Wore a crown and she came down in a bubble, Doug.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
Spags is not wrong, man. If Spags is wrong, I don't want to be right. But think about that. Throughout the game, they're showing specific blitzes so that they might get a look late in the game to show a certain other blitz that they've been holding back.
Big game Spags.
Dude, give him his
The
flowers, man.
Stones. No, again, it's because he has the ring. It's because he has the rings.
Yeah.
No, I think other coordinators get too scared to be what happens if that goes wrong. What happens if this goes wrong and it doesn't work? I have to sit and talk to the media about why I'm the reason this team lost. Spags goes, I don't care. It's going to work. I know it's going to work. Look at my hands, dog.
Yeah. It's like
Stones.
The sad fans, Texans, when one of the fans said, Slowick is like Owen Wilson on Wedding Crashers. Like, they're sending a blitz, and he doesn't know what a hot route is. Like, this guy, that's all he does is blitz. And the Bills were like, I don't think you're going to blitz. impersonation was hilarious. Thank you. I appreciate that. Take that, Sterling.
I mean,
don't do the Andy Rooney one.
It's not that you're not good at it or that I hate it. It's just I've heard it a lot. It's not as good as Denny Matthews.
It's not that you're wrong. It's that I just don't care.
It's not that I don't care. I've just heard it too much. It's overdone. Some say.
What's up with things being overdone these days? No, done. I'm not overdoing it. That's why I try not to do the Denny Matthews very often.
But
you
it's
know?
good though.
If
so
you do
it's
the Denny
okay.
Matthews every day, then it's people are going to be like, all right,
Do
we
you
get
have
it. Nope, I don't. All out, sold it all.
Do you have a Harry Carey?
I don't. No, my Harry Carey would be Will Ferrell doing his Harry Carey.
That's of course.
That's all he would be doing.
Of course it is.
Yeah, that's all that would be happening. By the way, watching the speaking of Will Ferrell, this is a random thought that just popped into my head. Watching the Saturday Night Live 50-year 4-part documentary on Peacock, I didn't realize that Will Ferrell's first ever sketch was, "Get off the shed!" Well, yeah. Yes, absolutely. What a great... I will come over and throw you to the ground and bash your head in if you don't get off the shed. Was his first... It's one of the most famous Saturday Night Live skits ever, and it was Will Ferrell's first sketch, and he killed it. Killed it. The documentary's pretty good. I've only watched the first couple of episodes. By the way, first episode, Heidi Gardner, prominently displayed in the first episode. Because the first episode is about 5 minutes. Sorry. The first episode, it's about an hour, but is literally about the 5-minute that they have to audition. You get 5 minutes to do whatever you want, 5 minutes and 5 minutes only. So
that's what I was going to bring up
about the 5 minutes.
Will Ferrell's audition. I thought that's what you were bringing up, was him pretending to be a cat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And he also did the get off the shed in the audition. So he pretended to be a cat,
awesome.
and then he screamed get off the shed. And some of the auditions like that turned out to be the characters that the people played, and that is just absolutely brilliant. Yeah. But Heidi Gardner was in the first episode a lot. So Kansas City's own Jason Sudeikis, they talked with him. But
Love Sudeikis.
It's crazy looking back at the auditions and what people choose. Some people can do a character. Some people do like some slapstick, and some people just do like stand up.
Dylan, what would you do? Dylan, I want to know.
Pete Davidson just did stand up. He just did 5 minutes. Here's a 5-minute stand up piece that
Hold
I
the
got.
boom mic. That's my role.
There you go. Just
I'm
out there
not a on-stage person, man.
holding the boom mic.
Not a lot of
Just
speaking parts when I was.
You shaving your beard for 5 minutes. That's all it is. You standing there just.
Yeah.
They also
Improv.
showed an audition tape of a guy who came out. He did his little thing and then ran and took off all his clothes and then ran back out on the stage totally naked. And then apologized.
You didn't get the part?
Jokingly.
Whoa, wait. Some guy went out there, hung brain.
Some guy went out there, did his like little thing. I shouldn't say that. Did his audition, but then part of his audition was to run back, take off all his clothes, and then run out like acting like he's like running from somewhere. And then he just looks at the view, sorry, and then walks off. And the lady that's the talent, she says, he did not get the job.
Wow.
But they showed his audition on this documentary of him running out naked. It's like, oh God, I can't believe they did that to that dude. They showed that. That's
He
mean.
has to sign off. There's no way they just.
I don't know. I think you sign off. I think you sign off by that being Saturday Night Live property.
You're right.
By doing the audition, I think you sign off beforehand. That anything you do here is property of Saturday Night Live.
Imagine hanging brain.
Okay.
And not.
You could just say walking out naked.
Said it again.
You could say walking
Why
out
does
naked.
no one says that?
No. Well, clearly somebody says that. It's just nobody.
And not getting the gig.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine
Tough.
it. I can't imagine. That is a tough. It's a tough break for him. All right, he really got pantsed on that one. All right, so you would like, if you're going to do that, to get the part. He did not. Chiefs got the Super Bowl invite.
Wouldn't
though.
you be more concerned if you got the part after doing that? Like, boy, hey, how'd you get the audition at Saturday Night Live? Like, well, there's
I think he was when the man was heavier set. I think he was trying to fill the Chris Farley void.
Ooh, good.
I think he was trying to go for the slapstick, I'm crazy Chris Farley guy. I just ran out here naked.
No one's Chris Farley.
Yeah,
And,
there you go.
And it's like, sorry, dude. No, we want you, something we don't have. I know we don't have Chris Farley anymore, but if we had you, you would just be you doing Chris Farley.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're looking for.
There can only
Thanks.
be one Chris.
Thanks, but no thanks. We
And
need
his name
something.
is Chris Jones.
That's right. He's like Highlander. It's only one. It's only one Chris Jones.
That's why it's Christian Roland Wallace and not Chris Roland Wallace.
There's
He has
only
to-
there's only one dominant defensive tackle in a game on Sunday at Arrowhead, and that was Chris Jones, even as good as Ed Oliver is. Now, I will not say that for the Super Bowl because Jalen Carter is an alien. So the Chiefs will have their hands full, literally, with Jalen Carter and how good he is, to the point that I think it's worth discussing as we get to later this week and certainly next week when we start breaking down the game. I think it's worth discussing whether or not this wouldn't be the worst thing to bring DJ Humphries into the game at left tackle and move Joe Thuney down to left guard because you are going up against one of the most disruptive interior players. If DJ Phillips picked up Caliendo and handed him to Patrick Mahomes in his lap like a child, oh, you want to hold the child? Here you go. Oh, did you wash your hands? Nope. Nope. You need to sanitize. Okay, here you go. Here's Caliendo, right in your. You can rock him. It's fine. You can do that. He's sleeping. Oh yeah, he's in a food coma. He just had a lot of food. If DJ Phillips was going to do that, nothing against Mike Caliendo, but Jalen Carter is a different animal. It's a different level, man. I mean, it's a younger Chris Jones.
If you watch the game again, the Eagles Commanders, every play is a double team on Jalen Carter. Like
And
there's not
he's-
a single play it feels like where they missed the opportunity to put the center and guard on him.
You would know this. Who and people older generation will be mad at me for not knowing this, but the defensive lineman that used to slap the helmets that eventually got
Oh my goodness, Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones. Thank you.
Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones, thank you.
Oh, in the break, I need
But
to.
they blamed it. I almost believe they blamed it on Joe Green. They said that when they
outlawed it,
the
it's
head
'cause of
slap,
Joe Green?
They used Joe Green because
Yeah.
it was. I think it was around the same time the
Yeah.
Mel Blunt rule came out.
Can you find for me the Deacon Jones clip when he goes, when you smack a man upside the head, or man or woman upside
we're not
that.
gonna find that
no,
one.
no, no. It's
No.
because he's trying to be PC, saying that a woman could be in the NFL.
I see
and
what
so
you're saying.
and so when he goes, he stops and so he goes, when you smack a man or woman upside the head, they're gonna freeze.
but he was presenting that as in like
He's
in the
presented
NFL.
it as in the NFL.
Okay, well.
Oh, it was one of my
Yeah.
my favorite all-time Deacon Jones clips.
Interesting. But Jalen Carter did that against the Commanders in the game and wasn't called for it. It was just a flat-out right arm to the helmet, to the left side, left ear hole of the right guard, and no call on that one because Roger Goodell wanted the Eagles and Chiefs to be in the game to have a repeat Super Bowl of 2 years ago, Super Bowl 57, and not only a repeat of the Super Bowl, but the same jerseys because Chiefs are wearing white, Eagles are wearing green yet again. It's going to be a flashback of that Super Bowl. And the only thing left to do is to maybe, I don't know, sprain Patrick Mahomes' ankle.
Hey.
But if you do that, then we'll get the same game.
Oh.
Patrick Mahomes will do that.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, you're going to have a high ankle sprain. It's going to
fair.
take you a couple months to recover, but
Fair
you're going to
trade.
win the Super Bowl. Sounds good, right? Which the only reason they won is because of the refs in that game and the James Bradbury holding call. Because the refs were clearly one-sided when they took the touchdown off the board from the Chiefs on the scoop and score after the hit that they called an incomplete pass instead of a completion and a fumble. They clearly wanted the Chiefs to win by literally taking a touchdown off the board and giving the ball back to the Eagles. But that's neither here, Sterling, nor is it there. Neither here nor there. I brought this up with Adam Teicher. You know what? Let's move on to. Let's play this clip. Let's do this. Let's play this clip here. We were talking about Spags, so I want to play this clip about Spags. Rex Ryan, who has been one of the biggest critics of the Chiefs this year, saying that they are frauds, that winning close games is going to get them. Teams that he's seen it, he's been around the NFL. Teams that win like this, they lose their first game in the playoffs.
Because he never won like this.
But Rex Ryan has been a critic, but he's also a defensive guy and wanted to spend a little bit of yesterday on ESPN talking about Spagnuolo and not just the officials, the referees, Patrick Mahomes, 3 straight Super Bowls, the Chiefs, the dynasty that, let's not forget, we talk about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but let's not forget the coordinator on the other side.
This guy's 20-4 in playoff games. Might be the best big-time defensive coordinator, big-game defensive coordinator in the history of the game. He's right up there with my dad as being maybe the best of all time in Dick LeBeau. Okay, he's in that conversation. Look who he's beat. He's beat Josh Allen 4 times. He's beat Lamar Jackson in Baltimore after an MVP season. He's beat Brett Favre in Lambeau with the Giants. He beat the undefeated Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. That combination, too, it's not just one of the greatest head coaches in the history and one of the greatest quarterbacks. You also got one of the greatest coordinators, defensive coordinators. Like, that's what makes him so dang hard to beat.
I heard that, and I was a little mad at myself, and maybe I don't know if it's the overall Chiefs kingdom or Chiefs fans or media, because I don't do it enough. Of when we talk about this team and this run, when we say, you've got Brett Veach, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, you got those pillars of what you need. And yet, we've also acknowledged that how great the defense has played the last couple of years as to why they've won those Super Bowls. The defense had to bow up in the second half against the Eagles. Defense held the 49ers to 22 points, or whatever it was. God, I don't remember the final score of the Super Bowl last year. It's like Super Bowl last year was 25-22. I remember it now. Because they got the field goal. I was thinking, no, that in overtime they had to win by 6 because overtime they scored a touchdown. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the 49ers didn't know.
Yes.
Because the 49ers kicked that field goal. But winning, like they had to hold the 49ers to 22 points in overtime. They've had to put, they held the Ravens to 10 points last year in the AFC Championship game. And we talk so much about Mahomes and Andy Reid. And last year we were given Spags his flowers like this was a defensive performance. But we don't view it as this Chiefs team is so good, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Steve Spagnuolo. We don't ever do that. Yet everybody, I got this text from my buddy in Nashville that texted, and he said, I'm gonna get the exact text because
there's an amazing new live artist downtown. You have to see this, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm saying, is that what the text was from your buddy in Nashville?
That was good, Dylan. Went over Jason's head, but that was good.
No, I got it now. Text said, how would you feel if Buffalo fired Sean McDermott and hired Steve Spagnuolo? My answer was, I'd be happy for Spags, but it would suck for the Chiefs. If the Bills really wanted to play 3D chess, you might want to hire Spags. You've done 2 things there. You've taken Spags away from the Chiefs, and you've brought Spags onto your team, but you've also taken Spags away from the Chiefs. Now, you shouldn't do your entire franchise of trying to beat one team. Yeah. That's not how you should build your team. But Spags leaving the Chiefs would be a big deal. If Dave Merritt can be the coordinator, whatever it is, but Spags leaving the Chiefs would be a big deal. It's the difference between Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy and Eric Bieniemy and whoever else has come and gone as offensive coordinators. Because while that has been a revolving door, Andy Reid is the guy. It's not Dan Campbell that hires Ben Johnson and then has to find another offensive coordinator that does what Ben Johnson does. Andy Reid finds the offensive coordinator to slide into his offense. Finding somebody after Spags, that's not going to be easy to replace him. So he is one of the large pillars of this dynasty because he's been here for all of the Super Bowls, and I didn't realize that he is 20-4 in the playoffs, as Rex Ryan gave, and those wins against Brett Favre and undefeated Tom Brady and against Lamar Jackson last year and Josh Allen 4 times in the postseason.
I think the hard part is, do you just say he's the best DC in NFL history, or do you say he can also do that as a head coach? Because the head coaching, Steve Spagnuolo, was a lot different. Yeah. I will also say I don't think you move on from Sean McDermott. He's 93 and 52.
Sean McDermott's 93?
No.
God, he looks young. They say 93 is the new 50.
93 and 52, regular season and postseason career. He's 7-7 in the postseason. It's just the Chiefs. And I think you can't fire the guy and bring in my opinion, maybe, but that just seems too much like trying to almost hurt KC versus trying to focus on yourself. you've been so close. Is Spags going to make you over the top, or are you going to struggle to get back to 93 and 52 in your head coaching career in Buffalo? That's damn good. What's even funnier is in 2003, he replaced Spagnuolo as the defensive backs coach. Fun fact, in Philly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
McDermott was hired to replace Spags?
He replaced Spags as the defensive backs coach, and Spags was eventually assigned to be the linebackers coach.
So he's been chasing Spags his whole career.
Been chasing Spags his whole career.
and falling behind continually. But he's...
He did, actually, because then McDermott was assigned linebackers coach after Spags left to take the DC job for the Giants.
That's great.
You typically go DBs to linebackers. Linebackers are like quarterbacks besides the safety position.
It's
so.
just funny. He's like he just followed. It would have been even better if he would have followed in his footsteps even more and became the DC.
It would have been better
for the Giants.
It would have been better if
he
he'd
left.
became the Rams head coach after Spags instead of the Bills. But he did go to be a head coach in New York, so he did follow Spags to some degree to head to New York, just a different area. Well, sorry, New Jersey, but whatever. To play those games. But yeah, look. I hope. Let me just say this about Sean McDermott. Should he be fired? I don't know. I hope the Bills don't let him go.
Where did I rank him and Josh? I think that everyone, when I put him lower because of him instead of Josh,
man.
I think I had him at like 6 or 7 on those rankings.
You had, you had it 6.
Yeah.
You had Bills. We did our back on January 15th, heading into the playoffs or heading into the divisional round because it was the 8 teams remaining.
Sure.
We ranked our quarterback coach combination teams. Not just, hey, who's the best quarterback or who's the best coach?
You had Jaden and Dan Quinn up there, too.
I had him number 5.
Did I have two? Did I have him 2?
Bills, you had 4.
Huh.
You and I had the Bills 4, and Dylan had the Bills 6, and it was because he was so low on Sean McDermott.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, there wasn't like an egregious, because Jadea and Jake were talking about it this morning, there wasn't like an egregious mistake. It's just all the little ones that add up at the end of the game, like chasing points, not using James Cook, trying the same play that isn't working over and over again, and just minimizing the chance you get it with every try you go. It's
the challenge flag that the Chiefs
that
still would have had a first down. And yes, he threw the challenge flag before the first down play. But it looks worse when the first down play loses 2 yards.
Right. And
the Chiefs get to play that down over because he challenged something. And also, like, replay assist can come in, at times like that. If you're trying to expedite things, like replay assist after it's an incomplete pass, the ball hit the ground. Like, I love the still shots that people have that's so disingenuous, intellectually dishonest, these conversations that people are having with still shots of the ball touching the ground. It's like, yes, the ball did not move when it touched the ground.
No one's
ball
arguing
moved less
that.
than the Dalton Schultz catch. It did.
You're right. I mean,
if we're calling Dalton Schultz a sideline catch possession, then Xavier Worthy had
You're right. Xavier Worthy had possession, arm on it. The ball hits the ground, does not move, slides on the ground, does not move, and he still has possession in the exact same spot he did before it touched the blades of grass. But people that want to take the still shot of that, look, if they'd have called it incomplete, oh, well, whatever. I'm already on record as saying I think it would have benefited the Chiefs. And I said it at the time. I took a note. I'm like, well, it's like, 4 minutes to go in the game at that point, or the first half at that point? Chiefs are at the 29. Now, if it was not the defensive holding, well, then if it's an incomplete pass, it's then 2nd and 9 instead of having a first down or whatever the down and distance was. I think it was still 2nd down at that point.
But as soon as I see defensive holding, I'm picking the flag up because I might need it later. And if we're weighing what might be more crucial and where I want to use this challenge flag, I'm not going to use it to at best gain what would he have gained 15 yards in field position if they would have got it because of the 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, right. So it was 3rd and 5 on that play. So it was 3rd and 5 at the 29.
Yes.
That's why I thought 2nd and 9. It was at the 29. That's where the 2 and the 9 came into my head for some reason.
So you would have been at the 24.
But it would have been at the 24
and half
with
the distance was
2 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the game. So you'd have been at the 24 with 2:50 to go. If that was an incomplete pass.
And Xavier was at where he cut it at the
They were at the 3.
7?
They were at the 3.
The 3.
They were at the 3,
so 21 yards. Is that math?
Yeah, but here's the point, though. They scored their touchdown with 20 seconds left to go in the half. The Bills did. My point is,
could have helped KC.
If the Chiefs get the ball at the 24 with a new set of fresh downs, and they had been scoring the previous possession, they went right down the field and scored to take that 14-10 lead with that Xavier Worthy 11-yard touchdown. this possession was after the Remigio punt return, I actually think it would help the Chiefs because you got a new set of downs. You've only got, I think they still had all 3 timeouts left for Buffalo on that final drive. So you'd have 3 timeouts, but it would be under the 2-minute warning when the Chiefs would either kick a field goal or score the touchdown.
Sure.
I think they would have scored a touchdown. That's just me, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know that. Just as nobody knows what the Bills would have done if Josh Allen did get the 4th down conversion on 4th and 1. Bass might have missed a field goal. Josh Allen might have fumbled They fumbled the ball 4 times.
Yeah.
They recovered all of them, all right? Keon Coleman might have dropped the ball.
Sure.
Kincaid might have dropped the ball. You don't know what the next – but people think if they get that one, they automatically win because they're up by 1 point. Even if they score a touchdown, they would be up 7 unless Sean McDermott wants to go for 2 and be up 9.
Yeah.
He could have, but do you think they're getting the 2-point conversion? Because they hadn't got the previous 2.
I think Sean McDermott, after this season, I almost view him as a better head coach than I thought because, again, they weren't expected to do what they did this season.
You were a little 2022 Chiefsy.
Correct. They have obviously now lost Brian Dable for a couple of seasons, but they have finally figured out how to reel Josh Allen back in. I just think that he's a good head coach, but not a great head coach. But I think there are a lot of good head coaches. I mean, at some point, where does Harbaugh fit in? Both?
Which one?
I almost think the one in L.A. might be better now. I mean, if you're talking about John.
Which one?
Jimathan, the one.
Jom Harbaugh?
Because he didn't run the ball last year either. The same thing we're knocking McDermott for, right? Not running the football with James Cook. Wasn't the whole knock against Harbaugh last year? But everyone applauds Harbaugh because he won a championship over, 10 years ago? Like, at some point, are we going legacy? Are we going now? Shanahan's great, but Aaron Schatz and I've gone through this before. It's because the team's great.
Yeah.
His scheme might be really good, but he perpetually underperforms win and loss for what the analytics say he should be doing. So does that mean he's a good head coach, or does he have great players? I think there's a lot of times we just automatically put a head coach in this greatness tier when maybe they're just good, but they have great players around them. This year, I actually think Sean McDermott outperformed what I thought, which made me put him a little higher in the coaching category, but I still don't think he's a great head coach, which is fine. I don't think you move on from McDermott, though. I think that's very rash.
I would say the pushback, and I don't know that they're going to move on from Sean McDermott, although they're clearly hear the conversation because Josh Allen spent a good 3 minutes of his exit press conference yesterday talking about how much he loves Sean McDermott. And how much Sean McDermott has meant to him and the organization and all of that stuff. So if anybody's talking about firing him, not exactly his words, but you know who he was talking to when he was saying those things about Sean McDermott is the commentary that's out there about him being fired. But I think you also add in the fact that New England was atrocious, Miami was down, and the Jets were a dumpster fire in their own division. They also played the Colts this year. And the Colts
but every team, man.
Right, but here's the thing. They played against, including the playoffs, including the 3 games in the playoffs, they played a total of 8 games against playoff teams. And the Bills went 4-4 in 8 games against playoff teams.
That's about what you probably should do.
The Chiefs played 10 games against playoff teams.
Well, they're not the Chiefs.
I know, but what I'm saying is the Chiefs played 10 games against playoff teams. If you take away the last game against the Denver Broncos in which they didn't play anybody, they played 9 games against playoff teams, and they went 8-1. The only loss was to the Buffalo Bills, certainly on the road, but then they avenged that loss by then getting the win here. Like, yeah, you can only play who's on your schedule. Right, but they also lost 4 times against playoff teams on their schedule. The Chiefs lost 1 time against playoff teams on their schedule.
Do you can Harbaugh in Baltimore?
No, but I think when you look at what the reason people are talking about it with Sean McDermott is they're wondering, do you ever get over the hump?
I get it.
Is Sean McDermott a guy that you lost at home 3 straight years in the divisional round?
Sure.
You got by the Ravens. That was huge that you got by the Ravens.
Massive.
For Allen and Sean McDermott. But you've got the 13-second, game where you kick the ball deep instead of just, squibbing it. You've got this one where you have a number of decisions. Even the people that are complaining about the refs are still also, like Bills fans complaining about the refs and Sean McDermott. It's like the refs and McDermott.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm just telling you why people are wanting him fired. I wouldn't do it. I hope he doesn't get fired. And I hope Spags doesn't leave. Those 2 things are great.
I just think it's
for the Chiefs.
At times, fans can be a little irrational. They always think it's going to be the next Belichick.
They're always rational.
If McDermott was a free agent head coach, would he not be the best free agent head coach?
Right now? I mean, I don't know. No?
Yes.
Who? No.
Belichick still is. I'm serious. I mean, do you think Bill Belichick loses to Patrick Mahomes with Josh Allen?
My point is, he's not Belichick, dude.
Here's the other thing.
You keep trying, but
here's the other thing.
Every single team is like, well, our next head coach is going to be Belichick or Andy Reid.
Here's my
There's
argument.
two of those
Here's my
guys.
argument.
Right, but he's saying that Bill Belichick's the best.
If you just fired him last year for losing at home to the Chiefs, which you easily could have done, you would have had your pick of Jim Harbaugh or Bill Belichick.
It's a good point. It's a good point. And the other thing he has to deal with, Sean McDermott has to deal with, is the last 2 years, giving up 27 points to the Chiefs at home in the divisional round and a fumble through the end zone. So you almost gave up 34, and then the Chiefs scored their most points in a season this season against the Bills in the AFC Championship game, and he's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
Like reading some of the things in Buffalo,
Agreed.
because I wanted to read about like, you know, what the Bills media was talking about, like those that are writing about it. And there was some ref stuff, but there was a lot of like, here are the takeaways, and one of them was defense is the problem again. And that's Sean McDermott. Like if it was constantly offense is the problem for the Chiefs, offense was the problem for the Bears, so Nagy's got to go. You know, like offense is the problem on this thing, so this guy's got to go.
Leslie Frazier's fault when we fired Leslie Frazier 3 years ago. It's like everyone else's fault but Sean's. Remember we fired Dorsey. We got all these firings but Sean McDermott. I think that's what Bills fans are also upset with, is that the blame is always passed off from Sean, but yet the same result happens. And here's the other question I have for you. Do the Bills miss the playoffs without Sean McDermott?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
But my point here is he's won a lot. I don't know why I'm on this.
You think Sean McDermott's the best coach in the NFL? That's fine.
I think he's a solid head coach.
By the way, you and I both had the Bills at number 4.
And
so.
also, if we
it's
asked
not
this
like
question in like week 17, you're
Yeah.
right. Like he did have a great regular season.
Yeah,
And he played in the AFC Championship game and lost by a field goal.
I mean, again, I just think it's this recency bias. I think if you're doing this, then you have to have the same thing for Harbaugh. And really quickly, my point here is sorry. He's won a lot of playoff games besides beating the Chiefs.
5 straight years.
The point of the matter is, if you're only going to say, if you can't beat the Chiefs, you're getting fired, then every single damn head coach is getting fired because you ain't beating KC.
Well,
that's what it comes down to.
That's what happens when you have a good player that's all-time.
Yeah, Nick Saban got a lot of coaches fired.
Yes.
That's my point.
Tom Brady got a lot of people fired.
Patrick Mahomes is going to get all and I know it's frustrating for those fans, but I just think if you keep trying to find someone better than McDermott, I think my thing is if you fire McDermott, the odds of finding someone better than him are pretty low. I think the odds of finding someone worse than him are really, really high. That's what it comes down to.
And that's where the GM comes in and has to make the decision of, do I know who the next guy is? The question is this the guy that you think is going to coach a Super Bowl victory for the Bills? Because for the Bills and who they have with Josh Allen, it shouldn't be about, well, yeah, he's going to get you there. It should be about who's going to get us over the hump. They've got to win a Super Bowl in their career or in their franchise history, okay? They're too storied of a franchise not to have a Super Bowl. Josh Allen is too good of a quarterback not to win a Super Bowl. It is unfortunate timing for them that he's going up against Patrick Mahomes in the Mahomes-Swift era. Excuse me, Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andy Reid era right now. That's unfortunate timing for them. But the question is not, is this guy good enough to get us there? The question is this guy good enough to get us over the hump and win a Super Bowl? Sean McDermott's proven he's good enough to get you to the playoffs and win a playoff game. Marty Schottenheimer would get you to the playoffs, whether he won a playoff game or not. And there were a couple of different teams that said he did a fantastic job rebuilding this. Couldn't get us over the hump when it got time in the playoffs. Sean McDermott just might be that guy that is a good head coach that can get everything organized and have people on the same page to a degree, although there's been plenty of things that have come out from behind the scenes about whether people believe in Sean McDermott or not. But who's the guy that's going to get you to win a Super Bowl? Because that's what the Bills over the next 3 or 4 years' sole focus should be, is win a Super Bowl. You don't have to become a dynasty. You've got to win one. Missouri's basketball entire focus should be, is there a coach that will get us to a freaking Final Four? That's it. Not win a national championship, win 4 games in the tournament.
Open the gates,
they
baby.
need to do that. Bills need to find the coach that will get them a Super Bowl. If Sean McDermott's not that guy, then you need to make the decision now, quickly, because you don't want to keep wasting years for Josh Allen. WHB, Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels.
Fact.
We'll be doing that an hour from now. 1 hour from now. So those in the East Coast time right now are listening to us do Fact or Fiction. That's how time zones work.
Australia
right?
already knows what's happened.
That's right. Man, we need to talk to Australia on Sunday morning of the Super Bowl so I can make some money. I think that's how time zones work.
That's Japan. It's like the stock market. You just call people from Japan. They'll tell you the lines, what you need to bet on.
That's great.
I did a hit one time in New Zealand.
Good for you, man. What was it?
It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, what time am I talking? It was like, because it's
a radio hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like a different. You think I'm like John Wick or something?
I don't know how you get down.
But I was like, it's a different day where they're at. It's such a weird feeling. Like, so we're not. So our Thursday, your Wednesday. I don't get how it works. It blows my. Well, I get how it works, but it still blows my mind.
I don't get how time zones work. This is
Does
so
your
weird.
toilet
Why don't we
also
all have the
go
same time?
Spin backwards?
Spins the other way. It's so weird how it spins the other way. Very
What's
odd.
a koala like?
Fluffy. It's very fluffy.
Slow.
Yeah, that's right. 913-912-4810. Text says, Bills just need to wait until Mahomes decides to start his baseball career. Like
That's
MJ.
what I said yesterday,
Like
remember?
MJ, yeah.
I said that yesterday.
Text says, why do none of the national media pundits, social media jokers ever mention any of the calls that go the Chiefs' opponent's way? They only ever go on rants about 50-50 that could go either way, calls that go the Chiefs' way. They just ignore all the other questionable calls the entire game. Well, of course, yeah. I mean, I think, Sterling, you had the best point that your friend...
Mark that.
Nope. It was the best point about your friend. That your friend thinks the Chiefs get all the calls until he placed money on the Chiefs to beat the Bills, and then he actually agreed that you couldn't tell if that was a first down or not.
Yeah.
Because his wallet was telling him, I'm emotionally invested in the Chiefs, so I'm not going to look at this through Chiefs derangement syndrome, CDS as we like to call it, CDs, and Super Bowl championships. That's what CDs is.
CDs what?
CDs are what would be played for songs back in the day before MP3s and things like that. But you talking about your friend that that put money on other teams and was pissed off about the Chiefs getting all these calls, and then he bet heavily on the Chiefs. Now all of a sudden, everything looks good. You can't really tell. You know, Ravens fans have been clowning and screaming about the Chiefs getting every call, and that's the only reason they win. And then the Ravens get screwed by the refs last week against the Bills, and Ravens fans are like, yeah, it didn't look like he made it. Stop talking about how the refs won the game for the Chiefs. No, they didn't. They didn't. Like, Ravens fans defending the Chiefs. It's an odd, I mean, sports makes strange bedfellows. You know, my enemy is my friend. Bills and Ravens, let's join our powers like Captain Planet to hate Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Well, hold on. You just beat me and ended my season. And we got screwed on a call, and you're telling us that had nothing to do with the game? Bleep you. Go Chiefs. I don't want Josh Allen to win one before Lamar. Go Chiefs. Same thing with the Bengals fans saying, go. I don't want Josh Allen to win one before Joe Burrow. No, we already know that Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great, but do you want to have
and then
Lamar?
The Raiders are going to bleep that. We don't want those guys to win before Aiden O'Connell.
Because that's right. That's exactly right. Not before Bo Nix. You can't have Josh Allen win. But honestly, though, if the Bills won on Sunday, of the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL, only one of them would not have made a Super Bowl. That would be Lamar. The man who's going to be a 3-time MVP would have no Super Bowl appearances.
Great
Burrow would have
regular
one.
season quarterback.
Right. Allen would have one. Mahomes would have 15. Like, at the end of the career, I mean, you know.
We might be witnessing the best regular season quarterback of all time, Lamar Jackson.
We also might be.
That's a caveat. Regular season.
Right. I think it was with Adam Teicher last hour that we were talking, and somehow that conversation sort of switched to like when I said that Josh Allen, you know, and just keeping teams from winning. Patrick Mahomes is doing that, and I said, you know, Josh Allen is, you know, maybe Karl Malone, or maybe Barkley's a better, you know, example if Patrick Mahomes is MJ.
Well, Dan Marino was probably the.
Yeah, but it's like Michael kept how many people away from getting a ring in their career? Barkley, Ewing, Malone,
Reggie
Miller, Penny,
yeah.
to a degree, but Penny's injuries and everything, and Shaq leaving for the Lakers certainly hurt.
Didn't help.
Yeah, but I mean, the Pacers make the finals after Jordan's done. You know, The Pacers and Knicks go back and forth in the Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals when Jordan retired, and the Knicks go and lose to the Houston Rockets. And then, of course, the Magic make it and go and lose to the Houston Rockets. But Barkley didn't get it. Ewing couldn't do it. Malone couldn't do it twice. Maybe Allen. You know what? Allen would be closer to Malone because multiple times in the playoffs, Michael Jordan ended Karl Malone's run to get a ring.
Not even Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Because at least Iverson made it.
Yeah, but I mean, multiple times it was Malone and MJ the last 2 years of that three-peat, where this has been Mahomes and Allen multiple times, and Allen's never got him in these. I mean, Burrow got him once.
What's he, Rick Smits?
No, probably just nosing through the trash, probably no. But, I mean, those other three quarterbacks could end their career the way that all-time great players in the 90s ended their career chasing a ring because Mike had 6 of them in 8 years.
I have it. Joe Burrow.
I mean, and Pippen and
Joe Burrow is Allen Iverson. He made it to 1, and then they got waxed
Well, I mean,
it wasn't because the time the Lakers. That's not the Rams, but the Lakers.
Right, but also it wasn't
by LA. Boom.
Right,
we
but,
have it.
But it wasn't MJ though. Like Iverson and I'm talking about MJ and
I know,
I'm
but
talking about contemporaries in the 90s that couldn't win a ring because Michael Jordan was so damn selfish
I get
in
it,
winning
but
them all.
let me try and
you
do
just want to be
my-
a Philly thing.
It's not a Philly thing.
Who, are you going to have your allegiance pulled in different directions
Don't you
next
dare.
week in New Orleans?
Don't you dare.
Are you going to start screaming out ELGSELS Elgalacies?
Okay, in fairness, yes, my spelling isn't great. Okay.
In fairness, I am like the mayor of Philadelphia. I also
CIHF S's.
CIFES, the Chiefs.
CHIE.
Eagles!
Elgs.
Let's go Birds!
Let's go Birds. I forgot about the Let's Go Birds.
Let's Go Birds is so good.
Let's go Birds!
But also, wasn't it the mayor of Miami when the Heat won the championship with Dwayne Wade, and she introduced him as like he is something. It is. Oh, what did she call him? Oh my God! It's like the Miami mayor. It was just so terrible. It wasn't even close to.
Call him Wade Jones.
Wade Jones.
Yeah.
What? He is this. He is that. And he is, of course,
His name is Wade
Jones. And everybody's like, what the hell? And Dwayne Wade's walking up.
What?
There's audio of that somewhere in the system, probably.
Wade Jones.
I know because we
baby.
played that a lot at some point,
Oh, who was the guy?
And his name is Wade Jones.
It was like the SNL one, going back to SNL, that person. I forget who it was. And now introducing the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem. It was not even close. It was like Adina Menzel or something like that. And it was whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dylan?
Nope, Dylan's looking for the
No,
Wade Jones.
That's a good one.
He's looking for
It's a
Wade
good one.
Jones. ELGSES. Eagles. You found it? Okay, here it is.
He's calm, collected, has a will to win because his name, of course, is Wade Jones.
His name?
Calm, cool, collected, and a will to win because, of course, his name is Wade Jones.
He's calm, collected, has a will to win because his name, of course, is Wade Jones.
The smattering
She
of
does like
applause,
yeah. Well, she does like a. Is there a Wade Jones here?
Is there a Wade?
currently?
I'm looking for a Wade Jones. I'm looking for Amanda Hugginkiss. Is there a Wade Jones anywhere near? Liam Cohen had a fun one yesterday, introduced in his press conference. I don't know if he's going to be a good head coach. He seems like a good head coaching prospect, right?
Sure.
Good offensive coordinator. Oddly enough, like 3 years ago, he was an offensive coordinator at Kentucky. Turned Will Levis into I think he coached Will Levis. But now he is the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and boy, they love Duval around there.
Duval.
Why does this thing seem like almost like spirit fingers? Dude.
Yes, no, it's so true. He was calling the pigs in Duval. You know, he was an architect. Because also, like, Jacksonville has a much, like, heartier, deeper Duval. Like, it's much, it's a Duval. And all that jazz.
Why, we harmonized. When you played that, we all three harmonized.
Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Duval. It's so bad, dude. The eyebrows raising one at a time with that whole thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go great.
And he also got the...
Good job, Wade Jones.
I don't know what's going on here. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Yeah, Liam Cohen did coach Will Levis while he was at Kentucky.
Duval.
He might be really good.
History shows, actually, if you have a poor press
Great
conference,
point.
you actually have a better, like Sirianni and Dan Campbell.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Those guys have been two of the best in the NFC. It's just the AFC, you know. He's got Trevor Lawrence, number one pick, and you're like, this guy's going to be one of the top quarterbacks in the AFC, and he's not.
What do the
He's in
Jaguars play?
Jacksonville.
Yeah, no, but
Duval.
Oh,
Duval County.
Duval.
Oh, you wanted Liam Cohen.
I wanted
to say
Liam
that. Oh,
Cohen,
sorry.
yeah.
What is Jerry Jones looking for? He was he told everybody yesterday as they introduced Brian Schottenheimer that there's some ups and downs that happen along the way, but and it's not all going to be like what's a way to put it to where it's like it's not all going to be like the best day ever. It can't always be like, I don't know, Jerry, how would you describe it?
There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes. Very low percentage.
That's what I was thinking of. Smiles and glory holes.
Not sunshine and rainbows.
Not everything's going to be smiles and glory holes. Not everything's going to be that.
I want me some glory hole.
But it is the absolute glory hole. But I went back to work, got up on Monday morning, and there it was, glory hole.
I too been here 23 years. And it is a reminder, I've been here when it was glory hole days, and I've been here when it wasn't. Good God. And so having said that, I want me some glory hole. There's a very low percentage of this that is smiles and glory holes.
What was going on
Very low
23 years
percentage.
ago? Glory hole was happening 23 years ago.
He said it a lot. Just go Google search Jerry Jones glory hole. I mean, he says it a lot. Just go Google it. Just go. You don't even have to put his name in there. No, don't do that.
Jerry
Don't do
Jones.
that. I would not suggest you do that.
Glory.
Luckily, we have all that sound already saved. There was no searching for me.
Glory. No.
Luckily, if I search that in the sound database we have, that's just the audio stuff. So I know what I'm getting there. So it's not just some random search based on your search history. So people can go and search that if they want to. Go check that out. ELGSES. You know what I mean? It's Chiefs and Elgis facing off. And we'll see if the Chiefs have smiles and glory holes or if there's going to be some ups and downs along the way. You know what I mean? Like, not every single game for 4 quarters is going to be smiles and glory holes.
Smiles and glory holes.
Some days you're Liam Cohen.
Some days you're biting kneecaps. Some days you're
Duval.
What an interesting day yesterday. What was more odd? An owner saying glory hole or Liam Cohen saying Duval? hanging out with us for the hour. Todd, I talked with Adam in the 11 o'clock hour, joked with him that the Chiefs won't let him retire.
I know.
So they just, nope, Adam, you got to take one more flight. You got to now work even more next week, every day.
We were trying to tell him last week on Friday, because the joke, a few weeks ago when they gave him the ball, he kind of joked, is this my last game?
Right, yeah.
And we wanted him to ask Coach that on Friday, last Friday. Is this my last game?
Is this my last game? I promise you, this will be his last game. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But Todd, I was, with Adam and how long he's been covering the Chiefs. I mean, you've been out there at Arrowhead a lot of years covering this team, and I mean, you've been to every one of these championship games except for one. The Tampa, the Baltimore game last year.
Last year, and then the Bills one. The first
in
Bills
2020,
we couldn't go to the games.
That's right.
There was about Adam, I think, was probably there. They only allowed like 4 or 5 people in the press box. So
you've been to 5. You've been on the field for 5 of these things. Well, 4 of the 5 because the Bengals.
Yeah,
so this is the 4th time you've been on the field after a Super Bowl or a AFC Championship victory covering this team,
and after so many years of not.
Right. So many years of like, hey, you're covering the end of season press conference after week 17.
Hey, when they cleaning the lockers out.
Yeah.
What's going on? Who's getting fired?
Right. Who's the next head coach?
I'm telling you, I have worked here in this job since 1998, and I worked in television. So in 93, Adam's first year covering the team was the first time I got paid to cover a Chiefs thing. I had gone to a couple of preseason things as an intern or something before that, but in 1993, this old. Here's old. Here's what old was. We got to go. We used to cover road trips. In 93, they made the title game. So the games were on NBC, not Fox, and CBS, and Channel 4 was an NBC station. So they were the home of Joe Montana and the Chiefs. So we would do post-game shows. And the very first time I got paid money, because they had to make me a paid employee because I was an intern and I had to go on a road trip, and they weren't going to allow an intern to go on a road trip. Okay. So that's why I got
to be an employee.
Thank you, Joe Montana.
There you go,
so
Joe.
I started getting part-time money. So I got to go to Miami to watch them play in the old Joe Robbie Stadium before it was changed and kind of redone, where I watched them win a Super Bowl 5 years ago.
That's right, yeah.
I covered them at the Kingdome in Seattle, which is gone. I covered them at the Los Angeles Coliseum, where they had the Olympics in 19 whatever, which is not gone. But it's Lincoln Riley's home now.
Yeah, now it's the home of Lincoln Riley.
The Raiders are 2 cities away from that.
It's
now
the
they're
Fighting Caleb Williams.
They're in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I remember going on a road trip and covering them at Minnesota, the Metrodome, which is gone. And I remember going and covering the playoff game at Houston, which is the Astrodome, which is not gone. It's right next to Reliant. I don't know what they do in there, probably rodeos or something. And then the next week, I was supposed to get to go to Buffalo for the championship game, but I had to stay back in Kansas City to help organize the things back in Kansas City. And it was 2 degrees, and they lost by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was
like a pretty good trip to miss.
Yeah, Montana got concussed, dropped what could have been a pick 6. It was a rough day.
Yeah, but it's crazy how.
And then you knew
you'd
go 25 years without another home playoff game.
That's what I figured.
After that Pittsburgh Steelers win.
That's right.
Another 25 years without a home playoff victory.
And it wasn't like they had 15 games there. There weren't a lot of games either. Every so often there'd be a game.
Yeah.
95 and 7. They had games.
03
game. I did not go to that 03 game. It was like my son's birthday. It's like we had a birthday party, and I didn't go cover that game. So I didn't cover a home playoff game for a while, because then the 06 was a road game, and then in 10 they played the Ravens. I remember being out there for that. It was the first game of the first season of the press box and everything being done. That was 2010. I remember that because the elevators weren't quite working. We walked all the way down through this. Some of us walked through the seats and down some staircases, and then ended up outside the stadium and got back in to go to the sad locker room.
Oh. You didn't know at the time, covering that Steelers-Chiefs overtime victory in the wild card round at Arrowhead Stadium, you didn't know at the time that the next time they would win a home playoff game, it would be quarterbacked by a guy who would be born 20 months from then.
Yeah, not alive yet.
It would be almost 2 years later after that Pittsburgh Steelers home win would be the next quarterback to coach this team to a home playoff win. And now that's all they do is win. I mean, he's 17-3. Like we've been saying it, because they keep winning all these games in the playoffs in a row. But 17-3 is just. It's a video game number to be 17-3 in the postseason.
You think there'd be an 8 after it or something?
17-3-8.
We're going
17-38.
And we're going.
Oh yeah, no.
So how about this?
That's what speed do. Xavier Worthy.
How about this? The Chiefs have lost 2 AFC Championship games at home. How embarrassing!
It's ridiculous. It is pretty bad, though. I mean, what are you going to do? Both of them in overtime. Like, win a close game.
Yeah.
Find a way to. It's the heartbreak of Arrowhead.
Yeah.
And you lose 2 AFC Championship games at home in freaking overtime. Oh man,
it is pretty crazy.
Knife through the heart.
It's almost. I mean, I honestly can't remember some of the playoff games because there's so many of them. Like the little details of them.
Yeah.
Because there have been so many of them.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. And I was. I'm older than you guys. Not a lot older than Sterling anymore because he's in his 30s. But
when you're talking about 1993, I wasn't born yet.
But
wait a
people
year.
who are, my kid's age. I have a 28-year-old, a 25-year-old.
Sterling.
Your kid's age.
Yeah.
They don't know anything bad about anything.
Dude.
Now, my kids were old enough they didn't care about sports, but like we would go out because there were tons of tickets available. You go to like maybe one game a year and, whatever. And now it's just a whole different thing that there are so many kids today who don't even know that it was ever bad. They don't know the pain, the suffering. And honestly, listen, here's the deal. Tom Brady and the Patriots won 3 Super Bowls. And then they went 9 years without winning one. Now, they went to a couple.
Yeah.
Okay, but they didn't win one.
And had an undefeated season.
You can still – you can't take this for granted.
Yeah.
This is insane, the role they're on. They may lose in 2 weeks, and then it's a thud. Now, will you be all that disappointed? Oh, my gosh, they lost the Super Bowl when you've just won 3 in 5 years or whatever? Yeah, you're going to be disappointed. But it wouldn't be like the disappointment you would have if you were the Atlanta Falcons. They finally make a Super Bowl. They're up 28-3, and they lose. And then they're probably not going to go back to the Super Bowl for a while.
The Bills, who
went 4 times.
4 straight and
lost them all. And a couple of them were
just gone back since.
I mean, they were just beat downs.
Yeah.
Awful.
Right. Yeah.
Awful.
From the beginning. It was like, this game ain't even close, man.
So you can't take these things for granted. I tell people all the time, don't take for granted even an AFC Championship game. There were so many Bills fans there.
There were a lot of them.
Some Chiefs fans sold their tickets. I'm not faulting anyone because this stuff's expensive.
But credit to the Bills fans for being there.
For showing up and all that. And they hadn't been to one because they couldn't really come to the one in 2020.
I think it created an atmosphere.
I thought it
created
helped.
a great atmosphere with all the Bills fans there because the Chiefs fans couldn't be quiet. Like they had to out cheer and be louder than some of the Bills fans.
Because the Bills hadn't been, they had that run Sterling's talking about from before he was born when they went to 4 straight Super Bowls.
I just know ball.
You just know ball. But then they hadn't been to one of those except for the 2020 one. Well, they couldn't go to that one really. I mean, there was only 14,000 people or something at the game. So maybe some people were there, but not Joe Fan wasn't going to be able to go to that game. So and that their home games that year had 0 fans in them. So they kind of like missed that whole year, the fans did, because the state of New York had different rules than we had here. So don't take these things for granted. Don't take it for granted. Don't take for granted, a game against the Browns at home at noon or something, because you still get to go watch Patrick Mahomes play football, and Chris Jones and Travis Kelce and all these things. So you just kind of pinch yourself to think that. I was talking to Steven this morning. It was 5 years ago when we all went down for that first time, and we had our little time in Miami.
Yeah.
4 hours from South Beach with you driving the van and all those things. That's 5 years ago.
I got us there on time.
5 years ago. And by the way, they've won a couple of Super Bowls since then.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's honestly stupid that this is what the city has had.
Because it was like just experience one.
Yeah.
Like there were so many people, and I don't know how many people are going to be down in New Orleans if they're going to do this or not.
Be tons,
They've had plenty of opportunities. But in Miami, what was so crazy is probably, I think it might have been 3-1. Chiefs fans that didn't have a ticket, that were just there to experience
just to be there.
to 1, the Chiefs fans that did have a ticket. It was like almost everybody I saw down there didn't have a ticket. They're like, no, we just came down here to enjoy the week.
Yeah.
We'll watch it somewhere on Sunday, and then if they win, celebrate around here. But we just came down here. He's like, a number of them, like, if we fall into one, and get it, then we're not going to pay a lot of money to be in there. We just came down here to experience it. There were only a few that is like, you guys got tickets? Yeah, we're going to the game. almost everybody was like, we're just here to experience it,
Just
man.
want to be a part of it.
Just to be a part of it. It finally happened in my life. I get to experience
And
this
to think
thing.
that it's happened continually since then.
Yeah.
To think that they've won a playoff game in Vegas before Vegas ever won a playoff game.
Well, and the
For sure.
Patriots every year, the team to beat every year, Super Bowls and 8 straight, AFC championship games. And after that 8th straight AFC championship game and winning a Super Bowl, they haven't won a playoff game since.
They made one.
They made two.
Made two?
The year right after 2019 with Brady.
Oh, yeah,
They lost
yeah.
the wild card game.
Right, and then they made
post Brady,
one after Brady.
They went in 21
It's been a bit.
21 or 22. But they've been to a couple playoff games, lost both wild card games, and that was 8 straight AFC championship games, 3 Super Bowls in 5 years.
Think about
and
this.
Then,
All right, so like Lamar Jackson's great. Okay, they have made one AFC title game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've been the 1 seed a couple times.
At least 2 times, maybe 3.
Joe Burrow has made the playoffs twice in his career. 2 times.
2 times.
Joe Burrow's made the
Burrow's
playoffs 2 times in his career. That's it.
That's
Josh Allen, they've won the division 5 years in a row. And they're dominating that division. They're doing a great job with that. But they've lost multiple home playoff games in divisional rounds, and to
Mostly
not just
to the
Chiefs,
Chiefs.
but they lost to the Bengals at home.
The Bengals, yeah.
And listen, that was a big win for them.
They're
to beat the
7-3
Ravens.
against any other team in the playoffs. Then they're
Yeah.
7-7 overall, but they're 7-3 against other teams in the playoffs.
Do you know what quarterback has the most playoff wins, the most postseason wins, without playing in a Super Bowl?
Josh Allen.
Is it Josh Allen?
Josh
already?
Allen. Yeah, already. He's won 7 playoff games. In the Super Bowl era, there were some people who had won
Dan
NFL
Marino
championships.
technically played in one.
He played
Yeah.
in one, yeah.
Right.
Like Matt Ryan played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Phillip Rivers doesn't have 7 wins. Phillip Rivers has like 4 or 5 playoff wins, but Josh Allen has 7 postseason wins and hasn't made a Super Bowl. There's a lot of quarterbacks who have made the Super Bowl.
Does it change
I'm talking about being champions, but that have made it.
Does it change your opinion on some of the guys like maybe Rodgers or Peyton Manning, who, Rodgers won 1, Peyton won 2, Drew Brees won 1.
Yeah.
Does it change your opinion now, being on the other side of this, where, I think growing up, we're like, how do those guys only have 1 or 2? And then you're like, well, Brady, but that's not a great excuse. But now you're seeing what Patrick has done to Allen and Burrow and Lamar.
Yeah.
It's almost changed my tune. I think maybe, I don't know if you guys differ in that regard.
It's
but
so hard to get there. Watching this happen, it seems easy because the Chiefs have done this and they've won 3 of them. But they got rolled in a game too in the Super Bowl. So,
Sure.
I mean, you can lose these things.
when you make that many.
But even in these AFC championship games, they were down by 10 to Tennessee, and then they made that comeback in the second quarter with Mahomes' crazy, amazing run down the sideline. They took care of the Bills pretty good, but they were still down by 10 in that game, or maybe it was 9 and a missed extra point after the
Early,
Mecole
yeah.
Hardman fumble early in that one. They were, they lost in overtime to the Bengals.
Up big, embarrassing.
18.
One of the worst losses the Chiefs
Yeah.
have had in 9-10 years.
Right.
With the lead they had.
They win by 3 against Cincinnati, where that thing could have gone
Back and
either
forth,
way
back
in the
and
fourth
forth.
quarter.
Everywhere.
One play here or there, one missed tackle here or there could have been the game. Then they go and beat the Ravens on the road, where they score 17
what if Zay
points.
Flowers doesn't fumble?
Right,
I mean,
plus
who
3
knows?
in turnovers.
Yeah.
And this year, they were -1 in turnovers, but the defense gets a couple of stops on 4th down and a 2-point conversion. And Patrick Mahomes drives the team down the field to get a field goal, and defense gets off the field. Like,
Nothing been easy about this.
no, they have had. I mean, the only thing that felt kind of easy was late 3rd quarter, early 4th against the Titans in 2019 when they were pulling away, and then it was that Sammy Watkins throw, and it was like, they're going to do it. Once that throw to Sammy Watkins was like, holy bleep, they're going to the Super Bowl. This is actually happening. But since then, the Bills kind of felt easy because it was like, the Chiefs are going to figure it out. That's just what they do. At that point, it
And
became
that Dolphins game felt a little bit easy.
Yeah,
because,
right.
I mean, no one
but I mean
remembers
these
the
AFC.
whole- title
I mean
games
the
have been-
title
yeah.
games.
It is.
They've been a
Listen,
grind.
They were up
emotional,
21 to,
draining grind.
21-10 in this game, and you felt like it was going. Like they were going to roll.
Yep.
But then the Bills, they don't quit. They keep fighting, and they keep fighting, and they fought themselves back into the game and eventually took the lead. I mean, it's hard to do this, and we have to appreciate that they have done what they've done now, because they are the first team who's had a chance to three-peat.
Yeah.
who's gotten to this game where they're 60 minutes away or more from three-peating. You know, all the other teams that have won 2 in a row, Super Bowls I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the old dumb trophies when 8 teams were in the league or whatever. I'm talking about Super Bowls. They haven't made it to this.
Yeah.
You know, some couple lost in the title game.
Montana came the closest, or with the Niners, but then he got injured.
He
right?
got injured.
Without have been.
I remember watching that game. You weren't alive, but
I had no ball.
The Marshall hit on him. Oh my gosh, just crushed him. So yeah, but
should they have thrown a flag?
Oh, that's 1,000% a flag.
If they would have thrown a flag, they would have thrown one on Hostetler. Burt went at Hostetler's knees, which then pissed off the Giants' defense, which then Leonard Marshall hit Joe Montana, bringing in Steve Young.
Well, of course, it wouldn't have mattered because he was still gone.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, Montana was so protected back then.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, unbelievable.
But yeah, you just have to appreciate that they've done this.
Yeah.
It is hard. Josh Allen is great.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is great. Joe Burrow is great. There are great coaches running around this AFC. Just to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC is hard. That's why, like, listen, as great as Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and all these guys are, they've only made the playoffs 2 times. I know Joe Burrow was hurt once, whatever. But they still only made it 2 times.
So his best season ever as a quarterback that he made
making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about making the AFC Championship game.
Right.
I'm talking about the freaking Broncos were in the playoffs.
Playoffs?
The Chargers were in the playoffs,
yeah.
okay? That's the baseline. Just make the playoffs. They've only made it 2 times, and the Chiefs have found a way to be the best team in the AFC almost every year. Whether they're the 4 seed, the 3 seed, the 2 seed, the 1 seed.
Because the last time the AFC had back-to-back 1 seeds that were the same team was 2012 and 13 with Denver. After that, it was New England, Denver, New England, Pittsburgh, Chiefs, Baltimore, Chiefs, Tennessee, Chiefs, Baltimore, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of Chiefs in there, but never back-to-back 1 seeds being the same one.
Turned into the 1 seed a couple of times when,
right.
when the 1 seed loses.
Baltimore lost, Tennessee lost.
So you're saying don't bet on the Chiefs next year to be the 1 seed.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be alternating.
Yeah.
Someone else will be the 1 seed next year. It's freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean the Chiefs won't host the AFC Championship because I just went through all
They'll
those.
find a way.
And let's
Only
see, they've
once they have to
hosted
go
1,
away.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 out of 7, right?
Yeah.
So 7, and so there have been 1, 2, 3, so 4 of these AFC Championship games. They were the 1 seed.
They were the 1 seed. But and listen, if they lose, it's going to stink, and it'll the Patriots when they were undefeated and they lost that Super Bowl. They're probably not happy about that year, okay, because they were trying to make a historic thing happen. And the Chiefs are in that boat. This isn't undefeated, but this is historic. This has never been done. What the Patriots are trying to do had been done. A little different. 14 games, not as much, all that kind of stuff. But this has never been done. And it's so much harder now than it was when the Dolphins in 1972, you could have the same team forever. You win your games. It's way harder now. More athletes, better athletes, longer schedule, the whole 9 yards. Harder now to do that, and what the Patriots did that year was unbelievable to go undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
But what the Chiefs, if they could win this is absolutely historic, and I can't imagine would be approached by anybody.
They would be one of the few teams as well. I think certainly the Dolphins in '72, but the Patriots in 2007 to defeat every single team on their schedule at least once. But they would also have finished off a three-peat while doing that because by beating the Eagles, because the 2 losses were Denver and Buffalo, and they beat Denver and Buffalo. Yeah. So Miami, that 2018 or 2008 or 7 Patriots team that went undefeated, they beat the Giants earlier that year and then lost the Super Bowl against the Giants.
They'd
so they beat everybody.
One out. Yeah,
they would love to trade that one out. Yeah, the Chiefs did it right in losing the some regular season
games.
Win the
last game.
But against Buffalo. But they would, I don't know whichever teams are. There are a few of them. That may be the only 2. I don't know. But they would also be doing that while capping off a three-peat. There was one more, Dylan?
It doesn't count because they lost to the Jets in the Super Bowl. But before that, the 68 Baltimore Colts went 13-1 and lost to the Browns, then beat them 34-0 in the NFC Championship.
Okay, but then they lost the championship, so they are close to do
close.
that. So that would be that'd be like the Chiefs this year if that happened.
This is going to be it's going to be
gross.
All they can handle. Philly's great.
Oh my God!
You look at Philly. I hadn't paid a lot of attention to Philly. They've only lost a few times this year. They got beat real bad by the Bucs early. Just had a kind of a bad game. That was the one. I think after that was where Sirianni the next week was kind of yelling at fans or something like that.
There was some disarray disarray going on.
But and they had lost that Monday night game to the Falcons where they gave up. They had a chance to seal it. Saquon dropped a pass, and they probably should have just run the ball.
They had the issues
clock.
with Jalen and A.J. Brown at some point, at least the rumblings
Right.
of a disagreement between those two.
And they had the loss to Washington where Hurts got hurt, and then Pickett got hurt.
And Pickett, yeah.
And they lost that game. Other than that, they've been awesome. Now, they have had some close games too. A little different kind of close games as the Chiefs. But like they also barely beat the Carolina Panthers. Carolina had a ball in their hands. Dude, was it Leggett? Who dropped the ball?
it was Leggett.
Yeah,
I mean, a
they could've
3-game
lost
stretch
that.
the Panthers did that was just against good teams.
Yeah, good teams were like, hey, what are these guys doing?
The Eagles, though, do have, I think, a turning point in their season. I think a lot of people are talking about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Sirianni. If you want a legitimate, I think, reason why their season turned around, they put Cooper DeJean in the slot.
I know you've been talking about Cooper DeJean
because
you love him.
No, because he's great, but there's a reason why that defense because I watch a lot of Phillies games. Well, because their defense was horrendous in the back end. They couldn't figure it out. They put him in the slot. All of a sudden, that defense really became one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL.
They've gotten better
because
sure.
they have Zach Bond at linebacker, one of the best free agent signings. Jalen Carter's been outstanding. That defensive line is still really, really good, even if it's not quite the same star power as it has been in the past, but it really was that secondary. They brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Darius Slay turned up a little bit some of his play, but Cooper DeJean in the slot has really, really helped that defense in the secondary. That was the turning point, especially numbers-wise and analytics-wise, of that defense turning around.
Quinyon Mitchell, too.
Quinyon Mitchell as well, but
he's been good.
But you have Darius, Quinyon, and then you have Cooper at slot. I mean,
right, and 2 of those are rookies.
And then
that
you have
drafted this year.
Reed Blankenship, and then C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I mean, that secondary has really turned it on.
But even as good as they've been, Jacksonville took a Trevor Lawrence interception in the end zone for them to beat the Jags because Jags were down by 5 with a minute to play, and they were at the 13-yard line for Philadelphia, and Trevor Lawrence
They've had close games. They're like 6-2 in one-score games.
But the Chiefs have too. So where I kind of go when I hear these one-score games, it's what teams do against Kansas City. So I almost stopped doing that. It's the what-if game.
Right, for sure.
What did you call? He called Justin Herbert if man. Right?
Oh, he's big time if man.
But so I don't love doing that to well, they barely got past this team or they barely beat this team.
Well, I don't think it's to diminish them. I think it's to say
that's the same thing the Chiefs
are. They're a good team.
You can't kill everybody.
Yeah, they're a good team, and the domination of the Commanders isn't like an unstoppable juggernaut that's coming into New Orleans. The Eagles are good, and Saquon Barkley scares the bejesus out of me, and Jalen Carter is an alien, and that defense is better. But they've also had some games along the way where they had some losses and some games where they snuck by.
It's eerily similar to 57. Remember when Purdy had his elbow issue early and everyone was saying, boy, how are you going to stop the Eagles' defensive front, man? They dominated the 49ers. And it's like, well, you really didn't get an accurate assessment because Purdy was hurt. I don't think you get an accurate assessment with a rookie quarterback going into Philadelphia for a championship
Well, and
game.
things snowballing the way that they did with the fumble touchdown right before half.
Because before that, they're right in it.
It was 14-12. They missed the 2-point conversion. Eagles score. Commanders fumble the kickoff. Eagles score again. They get the ball at half.
Yeah, without the 3 turnovers, that's a much different game.
Yeah.
Washington's going to be a really good team for a while.
But
now.
Vegas obviously didn't look at that and say, well, they're an unstoppable. They looked at it and said they beat the Commanders by 30. The Chiefs got by the Bills because of the refs, and we're going to sell the Chiefs as a favorite.
Was it 1.5
point favorite?
Yeah,
and they're still 1.5 right now.
Well, I just think the big challenge will be, and we'll talk to Spags many times over the next week.
Lots.
But especially early this year, they did a great job of finding the feature back and saying, all right, you're not going to beat us. This is the biggest challenge they've had. As far as that goes.
They've
They've
also struggled a little bit in the feature back. Joe Mixon had a day. James Cook had a day that was limited by his own team not giving him the ball more. I did not want James Cook in the backfield. I loved it when they were handing it to Johnson.
It was good.
I don't know why they were doing that.
They did a good job against Josh Allen and his legs.
Right, for sure.
So they took I think that's almost a decision you made. You made a decision there.
Well, I'd make a decision on Saquon.
That's what you have to do. I mean, and listen, Jalen Hurts played great against the Chiefs last time in the Super Bowl. He threw the ball well and all that. He had the fumble for sure, and that was a monstrous play in the game. But this game is going to be, you can't have Saquon go crazy, run for 180 yards and have a couple of, 55, 60-yard plays. You have to be better at that, and that's going to be the Chiefs' charge. You have to figure out a way to stop him. And then you're going to just have to make the plays. If the Chiefs don't win that game without the defensive touchdown 2 years ago against Philadelphia, probably.
Yeah.
Fact.
So
They also had a defensive touchdown taken off the board.
They did.
Fact.
Because the refs don't like the Chiefs.
They hate the Chiefs.
They
Fiction.
back then they liked them, but now
Well, they
didn't,
they
and then now they
didn't.
do. Yeah.
But they didn't then, but they did later on in the game when the holding call.
Just whenever the
but
wind
they
blows
did
a certain
well, they
way.
liked him then because of Taylor Swift because she was. Oh wait, they hadn't met yet, so I guess it was before Taylor Swift or
That's
after.
fiction.
Hard to tell.
I don't know if that is or not. I would say if you're the Chiefs, that it's suboptimal for Saquon to rush for a 60-yard touchdown on his first touch of the game in the Super Bowl. That would not be ideal.
No.
Fact.
I would keep him. That's
Not good.
factish.
Not good. But their line is great. They're very athletic. Chiefs linebackers are going to be awesome. They have to shed blocks. They're going to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's super challenging.
Yep.
We don't have to answer it now, but I
Okay,
do have a question about one side of the game in the who would be more motivated to avenge that game. Is it going to be the Eagles' offense
Or the
with
refs.
Jalen Hurts
Sorry.
or the Chiefs' defense because of the field conditions and how many points they gave up with that secondary, Chris Jones? Like, there's a lot of returning starters for the Chiefs' defense that maybe have something to prove after giving up 35 points on a slick conditioned field.
I think
defense
it's going
definitely
to. I think it's going to
wants
be
to
the Eagles
be
because
better.
the only reason they lost was because of the holding penalty and the slick field. That's
That's
the
it.
only reason they couldn't put pressure on Patrick Mahomes.
Fiction.
Hey, have you played Pick Six from DraftKings? Well, you better get on it because Todd's played it. He plays it every single game day. He and Steven and Peter Sweeney. done said work.
A fact, yes.
Okay.
I've done it.
Let's
All
go.
right. We'll start with Todd this time since, the three of us are heading down to New Orleans on Sunday. So,
New Orleans?
let's go ahead and he's going to do a lot of work down there. Let's let Todd go first because of all the work he's going to put in.
Lebo.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Heat are more in the wrong than Jimmy Butler is, as Butler's now suspended for the third time.
Fiction.
I'll go fiction too.
I think you're going to go fiction.
Yeah, it's fiction. I don't. Fiction.
Grow up, bro.
Jimmy Butler, yeah, you're getting paid $50 million.
Go to work.
Yeah.
Work, dog. You don't want to be there? Okay, I'm sure a lot of people who work don't want to be there, and they ain't getting
You know how many
paid
times
50
Sterling has
mil.
told me he doesn't want to be here?
I'm looking
Like,
at three
a
of them right
lot.
now.
Sterling says he doesn't want to be here all the time.
I love
You
being
know?
here.
I know. You do.
That's why I'm always smiling, baby.
I know.
Dylan.
Yep.
Mizzou will end as a 6 seed or better in the tournament. Fact or fiction?
The SEC tournament? Or the...
I'm going to go fact here.
Bracket Matrix has them. Oh, I shouldn't say this because Todd hasn't gone yet. Bracket Matrix has them as a 6 right now, as high as a 5, and as low as a 10.
Lenardi has them as a 6 right now.
Yeah, there's a bracket out there of the 50 or whatever Bracket Matrix has that has them as a 10. But I'm going to say that's a fact. A lot of games left.
Fiction. Oklahoma's going to beat them at least twice.
Fact. Not that part.
He took that loss on principle alone.
If you lose to Oklahoma twice, you won't.
Well, Alabama learned that. You lose to Oklahoma in football, you're not.
You're out.
You are out. I'll go first here.
Jason.
Uh-huh.
This Eagles team is the best team the Chiefs will have faced in the Super Bowl.
Let's see, you had that one. You had that one. Then you had that one. Well, then they played that one. And there was that team that they played as well. I'm going to say fiction.
I'm going to say fact because of Saquon.
I'm going to go fiction with the Bucks and Tom Brady.
I'm going fact. I think the 49ers will probably be the second. I think the Bucks make a good case. I mean, that Bucks team was what 10-7 that year.
Yeah, I just can't. That game was just too weird.
It was just too weird. I feel like I think the Eagles. This Eagles team, I think, is the best Chiefs team they will have faced in the Super Bowl.
I kind of felt like that Eagles team a couple of years ago was better than this.
See, I disagree.
Saquon.
I think Saquon, and I think this secondary is a lot better.
Hey, listen, I'm right about this. So
yeah.
No, it's 2-2.
Lebo.
We're actually tied. We're
really
actually tied.
What's
the
tiebreaker?
defensive line on that team? Jalen Carter's awesome.
I get
but
it.
the defensive line on that team was awesome. But luckily they put ice. But luckily they put ice on the field, so the defensive line didn't get after Patrick Mahomes because it was rigged.
Lebo.
Yeah.
Yep.
I now have no concerns with Harrison Butker.
Fiction.
Fiction.
Fact.
It's a fact. I have no concern with Butker. Yeah.
That was pure right down the middle.
That was pure. His extra point,
Extra
I'm glad they
points
moved up. That one.
Extra points.
The one.
Yep. But also that field goal right down the middle. Yep. He's good. He's back to being Butker.
That screams confidence.
Yep. Although he did. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad they moved him up. Although he did miss a field goal last time they were in a Super Bowl against the Eagles, but he played on ice, so he did slip on that one. Dylan goes first here.
Dylan. I actually understand why they played Najee Johnson over Jalen Watson.
Fiction.
By the way, did Dylan say fiction or fact with Butker? Did you get that one right? That one?
I can't remember. I think I said. What was the question again?
Fact or fiction? He's completely no concerns whatsoever.
Butker. He said fiction.
Oh, I went fiction. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't believe
and
you.
it was a fact.
We think you're
So
lying to us.
My bad. I gave him the point.
I would never lie.
I don't want to give Dylan the point because then we wouldn't be tied at the end.
Right.
Ask the question again.
Integrity of the game.
Najee Jalen Watson?
I actually understand why they played more Najee Johnson over Jalen Watson.
And I went fiction.
Yeah,
on
that's
that.
fiction.
You understand?
Yeah.
Fiction.
Yeah, fiction.
You don't
I don't
understand
get it.
that.
I don't get that.
You don't understand that.
I don't
Nobody
understand
does.
that. I like Jalen Watson the way he's been playing so far, and they said they're going to unleash him. Well, he sure seemed leashed. Jason.
Yep.
I believe it's you.
Yep, it is.
I think they moved Joe Tooney back to guard against the Eagles.
I'm going to say fiction on that, although I do think it is worth the discussion, but fiction.
I think you're going to say fact on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll go with Todd. I think it's fact.
It's fiction.
Wow,
you don't
you
move
guys.
it, but I think
agree.
there's a conversation to be had about it. I just don't think you do it when things have been going so well with Joe at left tackle. I understand the thought process and people who might want that, but I'm leaving them.
Yep.
Don't mess with a good thing.
Todd's up first on this one.
Lebo.
By the way, it's 5-3-3. We're all tied.
Lebo is on his phone right now. No.
Fact. That's an extra
Lebo.
point.
Fact.
Spags takes a head coaching job for next year.
Fiction.
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 Yeah, fiction.
Another year older.
It's fiction.
I don't know why.
There's no jobs left.
I don't know why teams don't, but I'm glad.
I'm glad they don't.
I love it.
I'm glad they don't.
Love
Appreciate you.
But Aaron Glenn, sign him up immediately. That Detroit Lions defense giving up 35 points.
Especially his first interviews and media with New York media. He's already getting argumentative with them and telling them, if you're going to ask the same question, I'm just going to stop answering the questions.
Did he actually?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's going to go over well.
Yeah, so first one with the Jets media, so that'll be fine.
Gosh.
It'll be fine.
They just hired Robert Saleh 2.0. Dylan, D-Hop needs to get more involved to beat the Eagles.
I'm going to go fiction because it doesn't really seem to matter who's the focal point. We just have to figure out who is going to match up well.
Yeah, I think I'm going fiction as well.
I'd like to see it happen, but the way you worded it, that he needs to do it to beat them, I'm going to say fiction.
Good job. Way to understand the room, everyone. It's fiction.
We read the room, yeah.
I'd love to see it, though.
Dylan's answer was the correct answer, so he gets an extra half point for
I would
that.
love to see him score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. That would be great.
I would love it, too. I don't think he needs, though.
It would be like perfectly Chiefs this year with the different acquisitions they made with P. Ryan in the catch and Kareem Hunt and Juju's big game in the AFC Championship game for like the winning touchdown to be Hopkins' toe drag on the sideline. Just like, what an amazing catch by Hopkins, touchdown.
And also, if you can find anywhere to get the snap count bet for Carson Wentz to go over a half, because I guarantee you Andy Reid is going to figure out a formation where he's an H-back or he's in the backfield so that he can play against the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Interesting.
He's going to catch it. It's the Philly special against them.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be funny. I'll go first here.
All right, we'll go with Jason this time. Mushrooms are overrated.
Which kind?
Any kind you like.
Because, I mean, Jake Plummer would say fiction. Jake Plummer would say fiction.
You talking about eating them?
I'm going to say
food.
You eat
for food.
You would eat those
You're
ones,
talking about food mushrooms?
They're overrated?
I'm talking about food, yeah.
I'm going to say you think it's a fact.
Yeah, I don't think you like mushrooms. Slimy, mess up, fall off.
I'm going to answer for myself. I'm going to go fiction.
It's a fact, man. I like eggplant way better than mushrooms. Had some good dinner last night at Jasper's.
God, you would
nice
say that.
little place.
You get the tableside mozzarella.
It was delicious.
This comes with mushrooms. Can I change out for eggplant? Thank you.
Big mushroom guy.
Great.
Just not for me. I mean, they're
These
fine.
eggplant parm.
They're fine. They're just not for me.
Okay.
Not for you. They taste like dirt, my wife says.
Yeah, they don't taste like dirt. They just don't.
She doesn't want the fungus.
All right, we'll go with I believe Lebo this time.
Todd.
Sure.
Todd. I roll with Dr. Pepper over Mr. Pibb. Wanted to switch this one up, guys. Wanted to ask at least a couple that were not.
I think I have seen you. You're not a Pibb man. You're Dr. Pepper.
I'll go Mr. Pibb.
No, I mean
that feels like the more
Pibb didn't go to med school, so I think he's a Dr. Pepper guy.
I'm a Mr. Pibb man.
Oh, whoa.
Pibb extra.
Is that fact or
wow.
fiction?
That's a fiction, yeah. So yeah, you were right. Dylan got it.
Right.
Yeah, I like both. I don't drink much soda at all, but if I have an opportunity to get a Pibb extra, a Mr. Pibb, I'm rolling with it. I'm the everyday man.
You think Pepper's,
I'm not a doctor.
You think
I'm a
Pepper's
mister.
pretentious to be called doctor and Pibb's like,
yeah,
you
where's
just call
he
me
gone
mister.
to school?
Just call me mister.
Yeah, he's from Waco, so I don't know.
You know what you call the last graduating person in Pepper's med school?
Doctor.
That's right.
Doctor.
Mister didn't quite make it. Nope. He had to drop out.
Dylan first, last two.
Trouble at home.
Dylan, Caleb Grill is the X factor for Mizzou.
I'll go fact.
I think I'm going to go fact.
I think it seems like it.
Yeah, I think fact. I almost said fiction because they beat Kansas without him. But if you look at SEC play so far, you look at the games against Auburn, he was 0 for 3 from 3. Against Texas, he was, I think, 1 of 5 from 3. Then the other four
he was
games,
like 19 of 20.
Yeah, but the other 4 games, he's shooting over 45% from 3.
Beating Kansas is just not a big deal anymore, really.
I mean, it's pretty easy.
Well, because Tamar Bates
Houston
can't be
did
an
it.
X factor, though.
Easy now. Easy.
Tamar Bates can't.
Tamar's just him. Yeah.
He can't be an
He's
X factor.
He's
and he
just
had
Timothy.
what 30 almost against.
I was thinking like K-State fans are just really taking all the hits for KU, like underachieving seasons. They're just not having a great season. KU fans like, yeah, K-State not doing so great this year.
Right.
Like Ohio State when everyone's like, they're paying $20 million to their roster, and everyone was
KU fans drop
Ohio State, shame on them.
KU fans drop some boo birds at Allen Fieldhouse.
Wow. That was tough.
I'll go first on this one. It's 9-7 tied.
Jason.
Yes.
I will eat crawfish etouffee more than po' boys down in New Orleans.
More.
I'm going to say that is fiction because po' boys seem to be more accessible maybe than the crawfish etouffee. So I'm going to say that is fiction.
Tie goes to fiction. I mean, if you 3-3.
Oh, that's a
not
good
more,
point.
so
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Just because of the odds, I'll say it's fiction. Good chance to be tied because I think you will eat crawfish etouffee.
Is this part of Ian McMillan's tab? Is food or is it
Could
just
be
beverages?
Could be food too.
Great question.
Could be food.
I am gonna go.
All my food's gonna be comped.
Fact then.
Fact. I'm going crawfish etouffee. I love crawfish etouffee.
Dylan with a late charge there.
One of my favorite
I'm going to bring
meals.
I'm going to bring
is
you
crawfish etouffee.
po' boys.
Going to keep feeding him po' boys.
Oh no! This thing that we don't have actually any money on, and Lebo's giving me free food. Oh no! It's now fiction.
No,
Lebo's going and grabbing po' boys
free.
from him.
Nothing free.
Yeah.
Wonder what they'll have in the media center.
I don't know. I'm excited.
They provided food in Vegas last year, which
Just
was
beignets
unusual.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
they were actually pretty good in
Remember how
in Vegas.
there was nowhere to get food in Miami?
I remember that.
It was
Yes.
awful.
Dog, I can't wait for crawfish etouffee.
Good for you,
And
man.
some beignets.
Yeah.
Big
Etouffee and a beignet.
Big nits.
That'll do. All right, so it's 9 to 8 to 7. We're all tied. I've got 9. Dylan's got 8. Todd has 7.
I've
so
only
we're all
got
tied.
7. Glad to be tied.
Yep, all tied. All right, what's the tiebreaker, Sterling?
Tiebreaker, boys. My top 5 favorite Chiefs, and they cannot currently be on the Chiefs.
Top 5 favorite Chiefs. not
So
on the Chiefs.
it can be you can be in the NFL still, but you can't be on the Chiefs,
Can't be on the
or
Chiefs.
it's prior to. And
Okay.
it's not best.
It's just top
Your
5 favorites.
favorite.
Just
Sterling's favorites.
Not actively on the Chiefs.
And it's guys I thought about in 45 seconds, so I didn't give the first names that popped in my head.
Okay.
Great.
Like these caveats.
We'll do that next.
think you liked this
So here
guy
was the question.
when you were young.
My top 5 favorite Chiefs who cannot currently be on this Chiefs team, and about from year 2000-ish on.
I saw this dude on the field after the game with his sunglasses on, living life. Debo. Did you love
Debo
Dwayne
in your
Bowe?
top 5?
I do like Dwayne Bowe. He's not on this
Oh,
one.
No,
too
number
bad.
1 for you is Jamal.
Jamal not on this one.
Oh,
No,
he's
wait,
not
he's
on
not
the
in your
love
top
Jamal.
5?
I love
Oh, my
Jamal.
God.
Jamal Charles isn't in your top 5?
I love Jamal.
I
Your
got
top
Eric
5 sucks
Berry on my
already.
list.
Eric Berry is on the list.
Okay, where's he?
Derek Johnson.
I didn't really do this. Derek Johnson's not on the list.
I didn't
Jesus,
do him,
dude.
All right, so I have Justin Houston.
Not Justin Houston.
Priest.
Priest is on there. Come on. Priest Holmes.
I put Tyreek Hill on here for the fun of it.
Nope.
No.
No Tyreek.
I don't
Trent?
know. Dylan,
No,
say
Trent.
something.
I
Who
love
do you
Trent,
have?
too.
God, you don't like Trent Green.
I love these guys.
Eddie Kinnison?
I'm gonna go
He
with
just missed it. I loved Eddie Kinnison.
Bobby Bell.
I said 2000 on.
Okay. Robert Bell, sorry. Kendall Gammon.
Kendrell Bell.
Kendall Gammon.
Neither of those.
Whoa.
I love Kendall, but
So-
Who is on this list?
What is? I only got one of the 5 as Priest.
Priest
I got Eric
Holmes.
Berry.
You got Eric Berry.
Dylan's just not
I
doing
had
it.
Eric Berry though.
Priest Holmes, Eric Berry, Will Shields.
Oh, boy. yeah,
Come
that's fun.
on. I loved Will Shields.
fine.
We
Did we say
should have
Willie
credited
Rowe?
the lineman.
We'll
didn't put
accept
him on
half
there.
point.
He's going to go
what?
Dante Poe, Hungry Pig Right.
Dante Hall.
Oh, boy.
That was my first game I went to. First play I ever saw of a Chiefs game. Dante Hall returned it for a touchdown.
The Broncos.
Boom. I was young. I was a tyke.
Who else
I
on
remember
this
like it was
list?
yesterday. Who did they play? Don't remember.
My dad and I were walking down the opening kickoff. We're going to our seats. All of a sudden, the kickoff
Oh, the opening
happens.
kickoff. That wouldn't have been
And
Broncos.
Dante returned it for a touchdown. And I go, yeah, football is bleeping sick. I love it.
Now,
So,
who else
what
on
else?
this list?
final guy?
Yeah.
You guys should know it. Mooney Man. Travarius
Yeah.
Ward. I love Travarius
Love
Ward.
Char.
Uh,
My
Odd
former
list,
neighbor.
man.
Priest Holmes, Will Shields, Dante Hall, Eric Berry, Travarius Ward.
It's eccentric list.
I had
So-
Dexter McCluster, by the way, but
So you
you're the
didn't have
closest.
Jamal Charles or Derek Johnson
I love those guys, but who
Or-
am I taking off?
or Trent Green or Trent Green. I'll just
I
let him
didn't
know
say
when you're here.
best.
And you don't like Kendall Gammon either.
Wow. I'll say sorry that Will Shields and Dante, the X
Just-
Factor, and
man.
Priest.
That's no big
Dante
deal.
Hall signed baseball. I wasn't going to
big
not
deal.
get
I'll
his
just-
signature on a baseball.
It's going to be
The
awkward.
sword.
It's
It's
going to
his
be
list.
awkward. It's going to be awkward on Friday when Kendall
is.
Gammon is in, and we know now that Sterling does not like Kendall Gammon.
Nice work.
Yeah, thanks a
he
lot.
just texted me too.
Ouch.